So, good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. And you?
Good. Thanks for being here. And
Thank you for inviting me on.
welcome. So this is going to be like a podcast, semi-interview between me and you.
Yep.
And being a part of the Warframe community, you're well known as being like the OG, one of the OGs.
One of, yeah. I wouldn't say I'm the, but I'd be one of. Only because the other ones have all quit.
Yeah, that's actually kind of sad. There were some good ones I was really into. But anyway, for those who don't know you or are completely new to Warframe or just seeing this for the first time, please introduce yourself.
My name is John, aka Tactical Potato. I've covered Warframe for about 8 years. The first 2 years I just played it, so I've covered it for about 8 years. And in those 8 years, I've been fortunate enough to grow my channel to a decent size. And still managed to I guess, hang in there when others have fallen off.
Definitely noticed that. So what kept you, going besides playing the game?
I genuinely couldn't pinpoint an exact reason for what kept me going. Like over the course of me playing the game, I guess my interests in it have kind of changed from one degree to another. Originally, it was about the gunplay. The gunplay was something that originally caught me to it before, I guess, it became so melee heavy.
Yeah, I remember the meta changes, absolutely.
Then I think it's about the lore perspective now. I really just enjoy the story elements, the kind of, I guess that it's not so in your face. You have to go exploring the lore, which I kind of enjoy as well,
Yeah, I'm not much of a lore guy, personally. The one thing is I don't like reading when it comes to lore. I like to listen to it, and that's why I enjoyed most of the story, especially around, what was that, Second Dream, War Within.
Yeah, the kind of pinnacle of, I guess, Warframe's shift towards an actual narrative instead of just being codex entries and shit that was kind of buried in the codex that you had to go and read and look up to see what the actual hell was going on in the universe. Yeah,
exactly. That's one of the main things that hooked me. And for you said it was mostly gameplay.
Yeah, I think it was because I had come originally from World of Warcraft, from like raiding.
Okay, you're also an MMO.
6 days. Six days a week. It was a casual raiding guild, but we raided 6 days a week, so it wasn't so casual, and it basically took over my life. So I was looking for something different, and I was burnt out severely on Warcraft. Like my whole account was like max level characters in full raid gear, and I was like, I was logging on every day, and you were grinding materials just to build to make potions and buffs for the raids that night. And I seen a video from Total Biscuit basically showing off Warframe, and at the time Total Biscuit had kind of covered a substantial amount of Warcraft as well.
Okay.
And I remember him doing the WTF series, and I seen the video and I thought, you know what, that looks kind of interesting. It looks quite unique. So I went on to Twitch and I watched one streamer was playing it in the beta. There was only like one channel covering it at the time, I think.
Damn, that one channel.
I instantly bought into the beta. Me and a friend, and the two of us started playing on a daily basis. And then we had been messing about with video editing, and both of us decided to start making a few YouTube videos on like Rhino and Frost, because they were the only ones at the time.
Is he still around? That friend of yours?
No. His channel was actually growing faster than mine. He was a Scottish guy. But then he quit. He was working on oil rigs and stuff like that, so he couldn't put time towards it.
Makes sense. And you're a founder, right? Like
but I didn't buy the highest founders pack, which gave you everything. I bought the 1 second from the top, but it took me like...
What was that going to give you?
I was broke as fuck at the time, and it took me like 3 different installments to get the second last founders pack, so it did.
So which one did that give you? Like Excalibur Prime?
It gave me Excalibur Prime, Scanner Prime. I don't have the Lato Prime. That's what I don't have.
Each tier gave you just one item?
I think so, yeah. But I think when you got the top tier, you also had something in the star system named after you at the time as well.
For real?
It was kind of like a credit thing. It wasn't like any of the mission nodes or anything like that. It was like more or less just a shout out to you being a founder,
Okay.
You also have access to the founders channel on in game, like a chat channel, that tab.
Wait, for real? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I've got like a founders one, but there's barely anyone. Like there's a few people still use it, I guess, on that.
Okay.
But for a while there, they were the guys that were getting to vote on certain things being added into the game, and a lot of times the things that won were basically because of a meme, because a lot of the founders had stopped playing the game, but they could still vote. You know,
that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a friend who was also a founder. He he quit the game. Like he just went to play other looter shooters. He said like at the time it was around the release of Fortuna.
Yeah.
And he didn't like the direction Warframe was going, which was kind of weird because they were definitely implementing new things. Finally,
I think it was because it became quite grind. It became more grind intensive, didn't it?
I wouldn't say it was grindy because for me, coming from MMOs, I played mostly Korean MMOs, and those games are hella grindy.
Dude,
right?
Lost Ark was an eye opener for me. That was my first proper Korean type
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really like World of Warcraft and maybe a bit of Guild Wars were the ones I had played prior.
Funny enough, that's one of the milder ones.
Yeah, so jumping into Lost Ark, and then I loved it. And then you get to that end tier where you're having to constantly do, what was it?
It was the Chaos Dungeons, the Guardian Raids.
Like when you're actually trying to upgrade your gear and it can fail.
Honing. Oh.
Yeah, when I was you're gathering the honing materials, and I was spending a whole week gathering all these honing materials, and then I'd spend them, and I'd only gain half a level. I was like, all right, I'm out. Fuck this.
Funny enough, I'm impressed you made it that far. I went hard into Lost Ark, and I kind of regret it, but it was an experience. Let's just say.
Yeah.
And
it was good fun though while I was doing it. Like I'd done some of the raids, and they were really well done as well. The mechanics on some of them were enjoyable. Not so much when you're doing it with publics, but if you had a full clan group doing it, it was quite enjoyable.
Oh, that is actually one of the worst things about Lost Ark raids. There's a lot of that. What's the word I'm looking for? I just forgot. Help me out here.
Toxicity?
No, kind of like toxicity. It was more like
the people telling you how to do shit, like that kind of thing.
More like
if you're doing something.
If you don't have something, we ain't gonna take.
Gating.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yes, gating.
Yeah, basically gating the content where they'll tell you, listen, if you don't have this item or you don't have this score, then you're not coming with us.
Yeah,
you need to go.
It makes sense. Let's be honest. Yeah. But the problem is there was just too much of that. But it happened in a way that they will see that you have good gear, but they'll judge you by the class.
Yeah. Well, that's something that probably dates back to, like, I remember it being implemented with World of Warcraft back in the Burning Crusade. So there was an add-on that you could get which would allow you to basically set up looking for group, because that wasn't really in the game at the time. So in the game at the time, you just went to dungeon, hit search, and you got put in with randoms. But then this add-on was made, and you could basically put in what your gear score is and all this. And then eventually it became about people looking in chat saying, you had to be gear score or whatever before you could do this heroic dungeon. And whether you were going down into, what was some of the, if you're going into Alcatraz or one of those kind of ones, the higher level 70 ones, you had to basically have a certain gear score. And then eventually it got implemented into the game as well. And it just seen a whole new level of gating where... Yeah, if you didn't have a certain gear or if you were a healer, you had to be a certain type of healer. You couldn't be a shaman, or you couldn't be a single target healer. You had to be AoE and things like that, So now, it became quite bad.
In like World of Warcraft, did it have like, because in Lost Ark, right? If you had a certain gear score, you'll just do more damage and you'll breeze through mechanics because of your high DPS, and you just have to perform one or two mechanics to go through. Was that like a thing? Like,
it was. DPS it would have been a thing. It wouldn't have been. Yeah, well, there's definitely DPS checks, but the DPS checks became more about what class you were. So, if they knew they were doing dungeon that had a load of large groups of enemies, then they'd want a paladin tank or a druid tank, because they were more AoE intensive. So, like, the druids could swipe, the paladins could throw the shield and pull loads of enemies in together, whereas the warrior couldn't really do that. So it became a bit that, or if there was large amount of mechanics to look for a lot of crowd control, like say a hunter or things like that, whereas it became more about that than DPS check, For a while, mages were insanely powerful, so they would take a mage over any other DPS.
Isn't that always the thing? Like, same thing in Lost Ark, a sorcerer being top DPS, and I also played a lot of Guild Wars and Aeon, another Korean MMO, and the top DPS was usually the mage, because of the burst DPS. And
well, it was the same. It was the same with Warcraft. The mage, there was like Arcane Firefrost mage was basically just pure burst DPS, and it was just mental.
Oh yeah, was there a DPS checker, like a DPS?
Yeah, there was a DPS meter. Yeah.
Those
and
things
the worst thing is you'd get halfway through a dungeon or a raid, and next thing there'd be one dickhead in the group that'd be spamming DPS, and he'd be top, and they'd be like, Yeah, but that's on trash mobs where there's like 20 enemies and you're just spamming AoE attacks. So you look like you've got 20 million damage, whereas everyone else has 5. And then it would come to the boss fight where it was just single target DPS. And all of a sudden that DPS is at the bottom with like 4 million. And then there's a rogue at the top with maybe 40 million. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
There was that level of the toxicity as well, you know. So it was coming from all of that.
Okay.
And I wanted something different. And Warframe kind of just clicked because it was
casual.
Chill. Incredibly casual. Yeah, it was like going from spending 6 days a week raiding to just sitting back and playing games with friends, and then the more joining clans in Warframe, and eventually as the game kind of expanded and more stuff was added to it, the community became bigger, and then of course I started making videos, and the rest is kind of history from that point onwards. Yeah. So
I get that. Yeah, for me it was a bit different because I was looking for something along the lines of another challenge. Because coming from Aeon, then moving on to Guild Wars 2, there's just a lot of like raid, min-maxing, build tests. And when I saw what Warframe had, it was like a looter shooter with amazing movement. Still, when I recommend Warframe to anyone or talk about Warframe, it's usually like Warframe has the best movement in any video game.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, it's just so it's liberating at times.
I think every Warframe player can kind of connect with the idea that when they jump onto another game, one of the first things they'll try to do is bullet jump.
You
know what I mean? No matter what game you're playing, you'll try to fucking bullet jump.
No worry. Yeah, I did that. I did that when I played another game, and I realized, wait, this feels sluggish.
Yeah, and you kind of have to try to separate yourself from that. Like when you jump into any other looter now, you go, hold on a minute, right? I can't be looking at this in the same light as Warframe because it's not going to have the same movement.
I mean, Destiny kind of has
Destiny can have the skating, the Titan skating and things like that can be really good. Or the Warlock can do it, I think, as well, which can be really fast movement. Yeah, so they have that. But Destiny has phenomenal gunplay. I think Destiny's gunplay probably stands out.
I love the guns in Destiny.
Above everything.
So you did play Destiny, right?
I did play Destiny up until the last DLC, and then I decided that I can't be bothered with it anymore. Was
that Witch Queen?
I did the Witch Queen one, and then I kind of stopped. I actually got the new one, and I played a bit of it up until one of those skater dudes gets crushed in a vice. And I went,
that story was garbage.
Yeah. I'm done with this. But I think it was more along the lines of it just doesn't interest me. It doesn't interest me. So.
That's surprising because, funny enough, this current season they just completely changed a lot of things. Like modding got a little overhaul, changed up exotics, new weapons, new dungeon as well. So
yeah, I seen a bit of new dungeon yesterday. I think Frozen was streaming a bit of it, and I watched it. So the underwater one with the bubbles of air that you have to go into. Yeah, I only caught like 5 minutes.
I was kind of disappointed there was no underwater combat. That was the one thing that irked me. I'm like, you have it right there. You could have done something.
You shoot underwater.
Yeah.
Wait, and your bullets actually travel in the whole lot. They don't float.
I mean, you're already dealing with space magic, so just
there's no point questioning.
Just go with it. So coming back to the whole, Warframe being a chill game, you just wanted to relax, do what you want. How do you feel about min-maxing in Warframe?
It's not my thing. Like you came from the whole number crunching, min-maxing when it came to Aeon and all that. I was a warrior tank, right? I just ran into walls. Do you know what I mean? Like
I played a tank too. So
for me it was right. I knew which pieces of gear I needed and which trinkets and all that sort of stuff and what talent points to go on to for my warrior. I knew I needed all of that, and I knew the tactics of all of the fights from Serpent Shrine Cavern and all of those, all the way up to like Tempest Keep, and then eventually the Lich King. And then that was it. I didn't really dive too much into the number crunching side of it. So with Warframe, it was never about the severe min-maxing. For me, it was more about just having fun. Okay. So I'll find something that I enjoy and I'll try to make it work, whether it's good or bad. I'll still try to make it work because I enjoy that particular type of weapon and whatnot. I understand that there is a in need for min-maxing. Like, I think that when it comes to Warframe, especially with, I guess, the way the coding can be in the game and the way that things can be busted.
Yeah, especially with damage scaling and all that.
Yeah, so being able to understand how all of that works, and to be able to show people how all of that works, which you do incredibly well, and so does is it as Invasion?
Yes.
Well, my accent, it sounds like I'm saying ass invasion, but that's something completely different. But as does it as well. Like, so it's incredibly important to show what weapons and what Warframe's full potential can be. Outside of it, but it's just not something that has ever really truly kind of clicked with me. Because I think if I went down that road, it would just take away what I personally enjoy about the game, which is just being an incredibly overpowered fucking thing that is just super laid back and chill for me to play, you know?
Yeah, I remember used to be like a Chroma main.
Oh, stop, dude. I think I had like 12 to 13 videos on Chroma, but it was because he was hard to kill and he's a tank. And like, I kind of resonate with anything that's tanky. Like, if I play any game I play whatsoever, I will always go for the tank. I don't care if it's like Diablo's coming in now in 6 days. I'm going straight for the druid. I don't care.
Not the barbarian? Isn't that
no?
Wait.
No, barbarian's tanky, but druid is also incredibly tanky.
Isn't on top of that, healer?
It can heal in one of the aspects, but a lot of content creators have had 2 weeks now behind closed doors to play Diablo 4, and have managed to get right away to endgame. And they said that the druid, the werebear, the tank, is basically S tier. It's one of the best in the game. So that's what I'd be going for.
I heard one of the lead
devs is a druid main, so he was always going to have it fucking powerful.
I heard a lot of negativity towards it. Was it the druid and necromancer? Like one of them not doing enough damage?
So I played all of the betas and then the server slam as well. So the thing about the druid is you only get to play Act 1 in the beta. And apparently the druid has his own personal quest line in Act 2 where you go to a special area that's for druids where he learns new spells and that's when the druid finally becomes awake. So the druid doesn't wake up until mid to late game. Whereas when you're playing the beta,
you play for 100 hours type of thing.
Without doubt, probably more than likely. You know, it'll be doing the Paragon levels and min-maxing, trying to get the perfect roll on pieces of gear and all that. But did you play any of the beta?
No, I just watched videos here and there.
It seems heavily influenced by, well, I won't say heavily, but it seems influenced a bit by Lost Ark in terms of the world bosses. So it's open world. So when you're running around areas, it's obviously.
But the price, though, it's quite steep when you think about it.
It is. And I think there's also 3 different season passes.
Boy, I know
there's like a free season pass, there's the premium season pass, and then there's the premium plus season pass.
Premium.
One that allows you to skip 30 levels or some shit like that, which you'd have to be bonkers to do that.
Is that like the $100 one?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't, but we're kind of in a scenario now where that's become the norm, and I fucking hate it. I hate that that's become the norm. I hate that everyone just goes, "Oh well, every other game does it." So
I don't mind a battle pass. I don't
mind the battle pass either. But to have 3 battle passes,
that's where it gets.
It's a bit too much. So like turning around and see these different battle passes coming up, and the fact that every gamer now is just like, yeah, that's normal. We'll just accept that, especially when it's a AAA game that's already cost you 70 to 100 quid.
To be honest,
seems a bit accessible. When it's a free-to-play game, I'm okay with it.
I wouldn't mind if there was a battle pass in Warframe, personally.
Oh, I wouldn't either, but I thought that's what they were trying to do with Nightwave.
Oh, but Nightwave
now that seems
is...
to be just... It's fallen off. It's something that they've just went, we'll leave that to one side and add a little bit to it, and you just can play whenever.
It was good. Like, first it was like the Wolf of Saturn 6, and then was it the Glassmaker or the Infested Kid?
Yeah. Arlo, the Infested one.
Those were actually nice. I was actually looking forward for a new story, like next time on Warframe, what's going to happen? This dude escapes prison.
The glass one ran too long, and it became a thing in its own with all of those investigations,
That was nice. I liked that. And if they did invest a bit more time into something along those lines, like a seasonal story, like what Destiny does, and if those stories still remained, but you had to like get a battle pass, gives you like specific rewards for that current season, a new weapon skins, a new Warframe armor and all that. Something that's more useful than the Nightwave rewards, because those are kind of like, really, it's just rinse and repeat, kind of the same thing.
I kind of feel like the thing they announced last night would have fit perfect into that. You know, these portals that they've said are about to open up.
Yeah. Well, with
that
the
would have fit
arcanes
perfect into a season pass. Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Some new content islands, not necessarily like a content island where you just go there for a certain thing, like an introduction to a new area.
Yeah. Like they have the 10 islands. So I was quite surprised when they announced last night. So if you've got all of the Acrithis lore, which I'm not sure you've bothered running around picking up all those fragments yet.
Those the thing that gave you intrinsics. Right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, basically all the fragments that you find lying around, the little remote control looking things in Deviri.
Wait, does those give lore? I didn't read them.
They give lore, yeah. If you collect all of those, you know when you're in your Dorma zone and Acrithis is there and you can interact with it.
Wait, what is that?
You know Acrithis, the vendor.
Okay. Oh, that's the name? Okay.
Yeah. You see. So Acrithis is the vendor that you buy the capture scenes and all that shit off.
Okay.
In your Dorma zone. But to the right of them is that podium that you can interact with.
Okay.
That has all those pictures, and that's basically the lore.
All right.
And it talks about 10 different islands that have basically disappeared in Deviri. And the 10 different islands that have disappeared as the void has slowly collapsed in on Deviri. And when you listen to the lore of all of those islands, one of them is about a lighthouse where there is a guy on that lighthouse that is keeping a large hand at bay that is missing a finger.
Okay. I see
where that's There's a storm that basically rains down links of a chain. And then the lighthouse is kind of swept away and it crumbles down and the guy goes missing. So that more or less correlates with Rel and us releasing Rel and the chains of Harrow. So the chains are the links that are raining down. So then there's another one talking about blood coming up from the ground, which is like the Kuva. And that could be when we interact with the Kuva queens during the, story. The quest. Yeah, so it's interacting or correlating with that. So all of these islands are attached or have some kind of attachment to what has happened on our side of things, and they've all gone missing. There's another one where a visitor appears, a guy with hair like snakes, who builds an observatory that then is studying the void, and he talks about how he has one in his world as well. So that's literally...
Oh, it's Ballas and all that, right?
No, the scientist, the first person to interact with the void, basically.
Oh, dang, okay. See, I'm bad with lore.
Yeah, I've gone completely blank, and someone's probably going to be leaving a comment now.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, for fuck's sake, potato.
I mean, you should do some lore videos. You seem to. You should. I
should do one or two. But they announced last night that Vor is going to show up.
Oh, I'm not looking forward to his monologue.
The Exterminator mission, and he's going to have a new monologue. New dialogue. I'm
already annoyed because I do a lot of void endurance or just like damage testing, and every time he shows up.
I know you're going, dude, just shut up. I have to cut this out of video. You know? Sometimes it's fun because you just one tap him and then you go, right, okay, but then you're still left with like 3-4 minutes of dialogue of him talking, and you go, dude, you died 4 minutes ago.
And funny enough, you skip his dialogue, the first part of his dialogue with the Nightwave skip, but no, he's got more.
And he just keeps going. Oh, so it'll be interesting to see if his new dialogue is going to be
skippable,
as long or skippable, you know? But I'm more interested in the fact that he's got that key, and the key is going to be something to do with the void and to do with the man in the wall,
unlocking a new section, maybe.
No, I think it's him holding back. He's the self-proclaimed defender of the void or something like that, and it's the Janus key. So in kind of Roman lore, Janus is the god of gateways and duality.
Oh,
he's the guy, the god of basically, gateways, and the fact that the man in the wall came through a gateway. So I'm interested in that. But if his dialogue runs too much, I'll just alt F4.
Oh God! But yeah, after watching yesterday's dev stream, there was a lot of people who were disappointed in Wisp. Some liked the design. I know you liked the design, but some were disappointed about one aspect of Wisp.
They didn't, because there was no ass, because the cloth was covering her ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude,
there are a lot of people who are so angry about that.
Yeah, it's like, dude, touch grass, put on a Tenogen skin. You're good. You still see the cheeks.
Yeah, true. I'll just say, just put a Tenogen skin. If you're going to buy the Prime Axis, just buy a Tenogen that looks 100 times better. I'm curious
how these Wisp players are playing Warframe. Are they playing it like one-handed or what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Listen, just let them do what they want at this point.
Yeah. I get it. I think I like the colors probably more than anything, more than the actual detail of the skin, because, like I said, it came from the World of Warcraft, and it does remind me of Illidan Stormrage, because the warlocks and the demons were all purple and kind of green file. So that's what it reminds me of.
Yeah,
so
I didn't like the green-esque. I'm not a big fan of the green color. So
yeah, I'm Irish, so I'm a fan of green. Do you know what I mean?
Fair. All good.
It's always going to be there.
Okay. And the new Warframe, what's his face? Kalervo.
So they showed off some of his abilities last night, and they were very quick to say, look, some of these are his true abilities and some aren't. And then they quickly said that the Rain of Daggers is one of his true abilities, which instantly reminds me of Harrow making Hydroid making it rain.
When I saw that, it reminded me of Genshin. I don't know if you've played that game. It's
I got no.
Okay, it's an anime gacha, basically spend money to win. And so there was a character called Ganyu and another character called Ayato, and they have similar effects with their ultimate abilities, like a rain. Yeah. And it's literally the same thing. So that was the first thing when I saw that. And hopefully it does scale with range. But the problem is, I don't know if it will be as effective.
Yeah, this is the thing. Like I said, I'm kind of thinking that maybe range will save it as well. But if it's going to be his first ability, then it's just going to be like Hydroids, isn't it? It's going to be one that you'll probably
helmet off.
Yeah. Or like at least Hydroids, I guess, can do the corrosive with the augment, and if that's a thing that people still do, which I don't think it is.
Oh no!
Like,
to be honest, Hydroid, yeah, he's just
like, I'm a puddle, and I'm a puddle that can move, and then I'm a hentai tentacle boy. That's all I see with Hydroid.
Sums him up.
I'm curious what his other abilities are, because we've seen him jumping into the air and throwing daggers, and I'm guessing they didn't say anything about that one, so that one might not be one of his true abilities.
And there was some recycled animation. He had like Citrine's ability cast.
Yeah, for the buff. You seen him casting a buff, but then you also seen him doing the shadow step, to be honest with you.
Yeah, he teleports and he did a heavy attack, which had the same animation as a...
But the animation looked quite slow, because by the time he cast the animation, Rebecca had already rolled out of the way and was running across the arena while he was still attacking.
It could be the bots, trying to... So it's not as powerful as what we would have.
Yeah, maybe. But I'm curious what his other abilities will be, if any.
I mean, there was an ability he showed where he basically shoots out daggers from his waist, and they slowly move outwards.
Oh, yes, yeah. In an area of effect around him.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of like the idea of a dagger
it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard going from Citrine, though, to any frame following up from Citrine, because Citrine was quite powerful and quite good from the get-go.
From my point of view, what I saw with Citrine is like DE played it safe, because she wasn't bad, nor was she like broken. She was just solid Warframe.
She's quite good in the circuit, though.
Yeah. So I think they're trying to go around, they're going to go off of that, because after Ureli and Stynax, those didn't go too well.
But they definitely seem to be leaning more into the power scaling than they did when it was the old team.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the new incarnates, I'm like, some of them are just way too powerful, but I guess they just said, fuck it, we're going to let you guys have the power.
For now.
For now. And then we got the Soma.
The Soma, Jesus. And the one that everyone was looking forward to. The one that everyone was like, oh my God, I can't wait for the Soma. And then it comes out and it's like, what the fuck?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't expecting the Burston, though. That thing slaps.
Yeah. I didn't pick it. I went, you know what? I'm going to go. I like the Akin Brunt. It's one of my favorite weapons. I'm just going to pick that because I figured, fuck it, you know? And while it's not up there with the Latron or the even the Bratton or the Burston, I thought, you know what? It's still just one of my favorite weapons, so I'll try it.
I mean, I'm going to take the L next week. I'm going to go for
the Cybio.
Yep, and the Zylok.
Oh, dude. Well, there's already a video for the Dread.
Oh, that looks so underwhelming.
Yeah. Headshot has the Dread and the Hate already out. He got early access.
It's the Paris.
Or a weaker version.
Yeah, it's like the same thing.
Yeah.
And the Hate right now.
But to be fair, there's a few of the Incannons are like that, though. Like the Bronco has that chain link kind of shots.
Yeah, which is like Lato, yeah.
Yeah, and the Toxicist has something like that as well, you know, so...
Yeah, I didn't pick the Toxis.
Toxis is fucking really good.
And there was a lot of, what was the other one? The Torrid. That one surprised me.
Yeah. The Torrid was the sleeper, I think, out of the whole lot of it, because it's a launcher, and then it becomes an incredibly powerful fucking beam weapon, right?
Yeah, and then everybody came into my comments like, yo, did you try it with Saren? It's bugged. You have infinite incarnate. I'm like... We know. I don't want to cover buggy mechanics, you know.
Yeah, because then that just shines a light on it, which means it gets nerfed.
Yeah.
You know, you want to enjoy it. You want to enjoy a bit of it, you know? It's like, you're not going to make a video on a bug and show everyone it.
I mean, I did do that with, okay, this was a long-running bug. It's, I don't know if you know this, but it was with Zata's Whisper and Chroma's Elemental Ward. Did you know about that one?
No.
Oh, that was crazy. So it would it would take Zata and would take Chroma's Elemental Ward damage reflection and be coded into that for even more damage scaling. But it only worked with hit scan weapons.
Oh wow, okay.
So it would take the cold elements, pair up with Zata's Whisper, and you can pretty much have an Eclipse damage buff with no damage fluctuation with lights.
Yeah.
But it had to be hit scan weapons, not projectiles. Basically, you're reflecting onto yourself to the enemy. It was kind of weird, and it just obliterated enemies. No need for armor strip, no need for anything. It just raw, powerful damage.
And how long did it take them to change that?
1 year.
Wow.
It went from another endurance runner, a small YouTuber, but he finds quirky bugs. I think Pablo also subbed to his channel because he's the one who usually finds weird shit. Dystopia, and then it went from he covered it, and I'm like, you know what? It's free real estate now. I'm gonna cover it too.
Pretty much. Yeah.
And as soon as I covered it, a month later, I was like, okay, we fixed.
Has that become a meme in your channel yet on Twitch? I can't believe you got that nerfed.
Oh, yeah, that was a meme. People hated me with Mark for Death. Because I released the video with the 2 billion red crit to Mark for Death.
Yeah.
People hated me for that.
But look, in all of the years that I've covered it, there's always been that thing where community will go, I can't believe you just made a video on this because now they're going to nerf it.
I just played the game, enjoy it.
And it's become a thing where you probably get it now, and I'm sure and I'm sure everyone else does Warframe videos, that when you show anything at all that's slightly powerful, you'll get a small percentage of comments which will be, well, this is getting nerfed.
God, I hate that.
Yeah. Because there's no rationale behind them leaving the comment. It's just, I guess, history from Warframe that there has always been this nerf mentality within the dev cycle where
I think at that point it's Warframe, it's DE's and the community's fault at the same time.
Yeah, but let's be real. Whenever something is covered, it's already been covered on the forums and Reddit long before.
Yeah.
There's videos have been made covering certain things, you know, and it's always the YouTubers.
Yeah, it's always our fault. But then let's be honest. If you guys are complaining now, and this is actually funny, right? Because this has happened. There have been people who complain this is gonna get nerfed, this is gonna get hasn't been touched since ages, and has been working like this since ages, but they just don't want to use it because they're afraid. I'm like, just use it, have fun. Like, what's stopping you from having fun?
It's literally the reason you play games.
Exactly.
You know,
just have fun while it lasts, you know, because then you're gonna be that one guy like, oh man, I should have used it when it was powerful.
Yeah. You'll still be the guy that'll be like, yeah, I didn't use this, but you're the guy that got it nerfed. I can't believe you got it nerfed. I was like, dude, you didn't even use it.
I can't believe you've done this.
Yeah. So there's always been that in the 8 years I've covered it. No matter what it is, whether it's you guys with the min-maxing, whether it was stuff that came out that was actually like when the Soma came out. And it was one of the first weapons to get red crits when red crits weren't a thing. Before it became the title for so many videos.
Red crits, 2 billion damage. Listen, hey, it works.
Yeah.
It works.
Yeah, so the Soma got it, and it was bugged and it was broken, and pretty much every Warframe content creator made a video saying, "Holy shit, look at this!" And within a few days, it was fixed because it was an issue. It wasn't meant to be like that. And it was fixed, and straight away it was like, I can't believe you got this nerfed. I can't believe you made a video and this.
It's a bug.
Yeah, and it was like, dude, it was broken.
Yeah, we covered it. Like that. And for the longest time, there was so many bugs that were mostly surrounding Eidolon hunts, and this has been a running thing because we're like, okay, new update is coming to Warframe. What's going to break in the plains? And funny enough, a lot of things have been breaking into the plains. Currently, there's sorry to interrupt. There's currently a bug with, I don't know if it's not damage registration or damage fall off with the Propa scaffold being shot at certain sections of the map. And this is just one of the few bugs.
Oh, on sections of the map, not even sections of like the Eidolon where you're hitting it, but the actual, if you're in a certain area of the map.
Yes, because damage is not being registered or there's some sort of damage fall off. So, you know, when you put in the shard to summon
to the center of the,
to summon the other 2 Eidolons. So if you go to the far spawn all the way at the end, you know, where it pops out in the hill.
Yeah, at the wall,
Yeah. So that section, usually if you're doing like faster runs, you would place your shields along the side of the shore and you would detonate your Propa scaffold into the ground and it will damage the Eidolon through the
map.
Yeah, through the map. And that allowed you to deal damage to the limb so you can push it out. So now, damage not being registered there right away, either you have to wait for it to, you know, rise itself out, or angle it in a certain way and shoot multiple times.
Wow.
And on top of that, there's still the knockback with Volt shields. They said they fixed it. However, it doesn't knock you back if you stand a certain at a certain distance. So you need to be at least 2 meters away from the shield. Before, you can stand right next to the shield, nothing would knock you down.
The knockback still goes through.
Yeah.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
Because it breaks every time to do an update, has it become the new raids?
No.
Because the reason they got rid of raids was because every time they released a new update, something in the raids broke.
Okay. And that's where you farmed the arcanes back then as well. So
yeah, and eventually it led them to go, and you know what, this isn't worth the hassle, because they were having to dedicate manpower to fixing the raids every time they patched, every time they hotfixed, every time they updated.
Yeah.
And if it's doing that to the Eidolons now, does that mean that the Eidolons can end up suffering the same fate as raids?
I mean, at this point, I feel like DE doesn't really care about the Eidolons. If you take a look, I don't know, I'm definitely sure you don't really pay attention to the Eidolon community, nor...
Oh, I've done what I needed to get the shards for my focus school, and then I stopped.
Fair enough. Was it. So ever since they changed focus, and they made it a lot easier to you know, activate your buffs with the new arcanes from Zerem and all that, the skill ceiling dropped. And now Eidolon hunts have become so automated. You know how you know how D was talking about AoE weapons are automated?
Yeah.
You know the
Eidolons have now become that.
Here, I'll tell you something. The fastest time right now was all done by macros.
Fucking hell.
Yes. When I saw this, like there was a video about the guy. He puts in the shard. He stands at a certain angle, puts in the shard. He activates the macro. it's inhuman movement. You can clearly see it's
Yeah.
inhuman movement. The way he moves, stops at a certain point of the map, gets out of his Arcwing, goes into Operator. Like, this thing is like pinpoint accuracy. Shoots his Propon, gets back into Arcwing, goes to the other part of the map, shoots just to shoot different parts of the map without actually looking for the Eidolon. And then when he finally finds it, he gets out, shoots the limb, pops out of the water, and then automates more shit.
So is there not like a fear from this person at all that their account would be done?
I don't know. But they're just doing that.
The whole automated thing with macros. I remember Steve being asked it multiple times years ago, like a long time ago, about what is allowed and what isn't allowed. And he mentioned how the visual add-on you can get that makes your graphics look better. Oh, what the fuck was that called?
A reshade.
Yeah, so reshade was allowed, but anything outside of that wasn't allowed. So when it came to macros and all that sort of stuff, he was like, don't use it because your account could get kicked because of it.
Yeah, well, if you go, there's a website that basically tracks your times and how fast you destroy limbs. More or less. Oh, this one goes a bit more in depth, like how long it took for you to exit. VIDS. Yeah, it's called EIDOLON.com. This is basically for anyone who...
so it does like literally everything, like from start to finish, right?
Yeah, so basically you upload your log. So Warframe has this thing called EE.log. Yeah, so it reads from that. So it shows how long it took you to exit, get to the first Eidolon, how long it took you to break his limb from shield to limb time. So it basically tells you every single detail, and that way people use that information to improve their hunts and everything.
Yeah.
But then when you look at the run this other person did, it was near perfect.
Damn. And it was all through the macros.
Yeah. I'm like, bro, come on.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know, that kind of would just, there's no joy in something like that.
Absolutely.
I understand if they're grinding for arcanes and whatnot, maybe to sell them for platinum.
Eidolon Hunters right now, they don't do that for arcanes. Arcanes are just...
that's what I didn't think they did.
It's just,
arcanes don't make a whole lot of fucking platinum anymore, do they?
Yeah. I mean...
Maybe the new ones would.
I mean, Energize still goes for around like 2K on PC. So
is it?
Yeah.
Dude.
And Grace is still there if you want to scam Inaros players. Like, hey, you want to be tanky, right? Good.
They'll never have the... God, what was the one thing that was the most expensive again? For
Prime Chamber?
Time? Prime Chamber, where whole elements to the platinum community were using it as a currency that basically did keep several of them as more or less as, that's my holiday money.
Yeah.
That's my fallback. If I get low on platinum, I'll just sell that. And then it became more popular. Not more popular. Remember DE released it that time?
Yeah. You heard what happened to that one guy who spent 300k plat, and then
and it was released the following day, was it?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh, he must have been
The thing is,
mad.
I sold one years ago.
Oh, you had one?
60,000 platinum.
Dang.
And I haven't had to look for platinum since, so I didn't.
That's pretty good.
But the guy I sold it to was a founder. He was
okay.
He had like top tier. He had everything in the game, and the only thing he didn't have was that. And I was like, "Are you sure you want it? It's kind of a shit mod." It was not, because it's really overvalued. It's not. And he goes, "I just want it so as I can have it. I'm a collection."
I mean, I
like collection.
It's a final damage multiplier, which is pretty damn strong.
Yeah, but there was a few things. Was there not something released, I think, since then, which probably gives you something very similar? I can't remember what it was at the time, but I had it on Twitch, and I was streaming, and I was basically, he seen it on Twitch, and he sent me a DM saying, "I'd like to buy it off you." And I was like, "No." And he goes, I'll give you 50,000 platinum. And I was like, "No." And then I got another message from one of his friends saying, "I'll give you 55." And I was like, "No, he's offering me 60." And then he goes, "Okay, I'll give you 60." And I went, "Right, okay." So sold it for 60.
Dang, hustle, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I did make a huge sale myself just before they nerfed Maiming Strike, thank God.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I sold a Skoliak Riven, which was crit damage, attack speed, and range with a negative, just before they changed how range scaled and all that. Sold it for like 25k.
Damn.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
You get a message from that guy after. I want my platinum back.
No, he must have been livid.
See, the one thing you always have to worry about with platinum of that size is the legality of it.
Negative plat. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see so many people falling prey to the fact that they've been given platinum that was taken from someone's credit card or that was taken illegally from a third party website,
I had to get a large amount of platinum. I mean, at that time when I sold it, I didn't really think about that, but I did hear what happened to Zen with negative plat, all that.
Yeah.
Then when a while back, I got 10K plat. I was like, yo, I'm just gonna send a message to DE. This is when I was still partner. I'm like, I got this amount of plans. Sure. I don't want to randomly get banned,
Yeah. I did the same when I got to 60K. I messaged I think I might have messaged Rebecca or someone and asked her to check it. And they said it was fine. It was okay. So I was like, right, thank fuck for that, because 60K at platinum, if that had been stolen, and then I was left at negative 60K, that was it. I was gone. I was like that other YouTuber, what was his name? Noob Showtech guy.
Oh, yeah.
Like him. I think he had negative. He had an issue with platinum as well. It wasn't just the what you call it thing. It wasn't just the
really also platinum issue.
Yeah. He was like trading platinum between multiple accounts when he was getting the
plot thickens.
Yeah, when you get like 25% off plat.
Yeah,
he'd get that on an alt account and then send it to the main account type of thing. So, which is illegal. You're not supposed to do. So I believe there was elements of that in it as well.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't want to be caught up in that.
Now we know. So it wasn't only the exploit.
No. It was probably the exploit. I think was probably the third or fourth time he'd been warned about telling people how to replicate exploits. So that was kind of self-induced, if you will. Which was a shame because his fucking channel was legit.
Yeah, so he was one of the people I used to watch when I first started.
Yeah, around about that time, I think the main ones were maybe me, him, Magamu, Sky. I think a Gay Guy Plays was there, and maybe DK. They would have been the major ones, and the original Wicked Guy. So they would have been all the original ones. So it was quite a huge shock when all of a sudden he was banned.
Yeah, I was actually quite disappointed. And
I know a lot of the community was.
There was another guy. I don't know if it was some Twitter drama, something about all lives matter type of thing. Some guy got banned.
Oh, dude, Daniel Dogman Dan or something.
I don't know his name, but yeah, there was one guy.
Yeah, he basically, I think Steve tweeted out something about, Black Lives Matter, and he tweeted All Lives Matter back at him, which is like the kind of calling card at the time for people who didn't believe in the Black Lives Matter movement and were kind of using it as a way to put it down. So for him to do that to the lead dev of the game was a really dumb thing. Then he started retweeting all of these wild conspiracy theories and all of that as well, I believe. So,
Okay.
Be careful where you go.
Yeah, don't fuck with the devs.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's hilarious. So, for playing Warframe this long, like, you looking forward to any type of game? Like, along this.
Right, so right now, there's honestly Remnant 2 is probably a game I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah. Okay.
If you've seen any of the footage from that.
I mean, I've seen the first one, not the second one.
Oh, dude, look up the footage for Remnant 2. So they're doing showcases of each of the classes or the subclasses at the minute. And it looks really, really interesting. So it does. The fact that it's a third person kind of shooter as well, not so much on the looter side of things as it would be similar to like Diablo, what that would be.
Is it like roguelike from what I remember?
No. The roguelike element to the first one was a kind of standalone DLC that came with it. You could choose to start the roguelite, kind of like what Deviri is in a way. You could choose to just start the roguelite and see how long you could last before your character died. Or you could just do the normal game. But the normal game was more interesting. Between Remnant 2 and Diablo 4 right now would be the two games I'm looking forward to the most. There is the games that DE or themselves are kind of
Wayfinder in that.
Yeah, Wayfinder is interesting, but at the same time, I'm looking at Wayfinder from the same way as I would have looked at Warframe on its initial release. I'm not looking at it as the kind of finished product because it's going to be free to play.
Yeah.
It's open world. It's very much Darksiders art style because that's where the guy, Joe Mads, he's basically the creator of Darksiders. So
yeah, I love the art style and the world, but there was just a bit of like there was a lot of things that were just lacking.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I watched
It's very bare bones.
Yeah. What was his name? Lazy Peon's review, and he basically hit every point that I was thinking. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's something that whenever it releases this year, because it's in a beta at the minute. I think so. But there's a bit. I think this is the last beta for it this weekend. So it ends on Sunday. Yeah.
Is it also NDA or is there
and it's NDA. It's NDA. But I've been allowed to remove the watermark just for a little bit of footage and things like that.
Okay.
And I think some of the other Warframe guys have been allowed to remove it as well. But you have to be very particular in what you showcase because it is under NDA, so you can't just go showing how busted and broken and bad elements are.
Yeah.
But it's very much a dungeon runner from what I can see so far. Like it has an open world area.
Kind of.
Yeah, so
that's what
it's basically it's got the open world area that you're going to be questing in order to level your characters up, right? But then it's also got all of these dungeons, and the dungeons you can increase the difficulty by going up through the levels. So like you can have it as a difficulty tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and it'll increase the power level of all of the enemies.
Okay.
But you can also add elemental imbuements into slots when you go to select a dungeon. And these will cause enemies to explode or fire to show up on the ground underneath the enemies after you kill them.
Okay.
Basically multipliers will make it just that little bit harder. But when you combine two of them together.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you combine two of them together, say like a fire one and a toxic one, then you get volcanic eruptions appearing underneath your feet.
Dang, okay.
Every couple of seconds. You have to keep moving. And in a boss fight, you have to be careful. So if they can if they can, I guess, fine tune it to a degree that they can make it as enjoyable as possible when running these dungeons, because there is going to be an element of repetitiveness of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Running the dungeons over and over again. And not just that, the wayfinders themselves are very much Warframes. I don't know how else to put it.
Yeah, there were some people who were disappointed that you couldn't create your own character.
Yeah, I mean, because it's not a typical MMO. Yeah. It's not going down that road,
Exactly.
You can basically, with the Wayfinders themselves, you basically get the blueprint for it the same way as you would a Warframe.
Okay.
Then you get the 3 body parts the same way you do with a Warframe.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then you have to build them and then build the thing. So that's basically what it is. There is a world boss. I did run into a world boss that kicked the shit out of me in one hit.
So is it like what, Monster Hunter, like Dark Souls, or?
It was this huge big fire golem, and there's like loads of rat fire wizards around it. That basically were like level 40, and I was like only level 30 because that's the most I was allowed to get to.
Okay, so it's something you have to be in a group for.
Yeah, it's going to be like you'll need to be in a large group for. And I went up, I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go up and hit it and see what kind of damage I do to it. I didn't even scratch it, and then it just turned around and slapped me, and I died, and I went, right, okay, at least I know. So there is elements to that. If they can fine tune it, and if they can expand every season and add more open world areas, and things like that, it could be quite good, since it is going to be free and it's going to follow Warframe's monetization model.
Okay.
But there is still a lot of work that needs to be done on it.
Okay. Speaking of that, now that you reminded me, speaking of games like Warframe, you ever played The First Descendant?
Yes.
How'd you feel about that? Because I'm actually looking forward to that one.
I really enjoyed it, except the every time I reloaded, I just wish they'd shut up. Every time I was reloading, Stay frosty. I was like, just shut up. So I followed them on Twitter, and they've been releasing small kind of informative videos showing what the changes that they've made since that beta. And that was one of the first. That was one of the first videos they released. Was basically, look. You don't have to stay frosty anymore.
Okay, yeah.
We've gotten rid of that. So they basically have tuned that down. They've amped up the beefiness of the rifles and the weapons as you're shooting them as well. So they sound quite beefy now as well.
Yeah.
So
the thing is, my main point thing I didn't like about First Ascended. I mean, I liked a lot about it, but there were just a few things. Like when you go out into the open world, it was literally empty. It didn't feel. It was worse than that. At least planes had like random things flying around, animals you can
shoot.
Yeah. Yeah, at least. But there you had to interact with some sort of console to activate a mission, which I found kind of quite like, why? It was just,
you had to run into like, there's one where there was a building and you had to go in and there was like a console in the center of it, and when you interacted with that you had to defend inside that kind of walled area as enemies jumped in. I didn't like that either. There was a few things I didn't like. I can't remember. I know there was I think it was the building of them as well was very much Warframe-esque as well, wasn't it?
Forma mods and all that.
Yeah, everything. So it was following. So I think it basically didn't have its own identity. I think that's what when I made the video on it, I was like, this is so many elements of different games that it struggles to be its own fucking thing.
From what I noticed, it had a mixture of Warframe in terms of like different types of descendants,
heroes,
abilities, and how they, I don't know, those was like a prime version of one of them that they
had the guy with the Excalibur.
Yeah, and modding was pretty much the same as Warframe, but the guns were more Destiny-like.
Yeah.
And then the combat and movement was very Outriders.
Yes. Yeah. That's pretty much what I said as well. The movement, even straight from left to right, that kind of sudden jarring movement. If you're going right and you instantly go left, the body kind of shifts in a way that was very reminiscent to what Outriders did as well.
Exactly.
But I think like with the modding system that they're using, I know it's very, very Warframe, but I guess Warframe doesn't hold the ownership to that. So a load of games, if it's a trusted mechanic that works, then I guess other games are going to use it. You know?
I mean, let's be honest. Games will copy from other games, but
without doubt.
Yeah, it's how much you copy from the game and change and innovate from that. Like what Genshin did, right? They copied a lot of elements from Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
And look who's more successful now. You know?
Yeah.
So I so hopefully they do something, because that's one of the games I really want to get into.
Because Genshin, no, First Ascendant.
No, First Ascendant, no.
Yeah. I'm sure they will. Like if you you should follow them on Twitter, and you'll see all of the videos that they've been doing, showing the.
I should. I'm not really a Twitter guy, but I should.
Yeah, neither am I. I follow a few devs just to see their games. I don't really tweet a lot, and I don't really do anything else. I don't go down that rabbit hole. I just follow game devs. But when you see the changes that they've done, it is really fucking looking good. That doesn't mean that the next time they release a beta or whatever, it won't be. Have you seen any footage of the Throne and Liberty?
Oh God!
What a disappointment, dude.
I was actually that was okay. So when I saw that game, like especially the trailer, I knew two things. It's going to be pay to win because it's Korean MMO, NCSoft. You know, I have a history with NCSoft, so I was like, okay, I'm prepared for that. And optimization was another thing that I was going to be worried about. So those are like the two main things that were in my head. But I did not expect to see the shit show that Throne of Liberty was. Oh my god. So it was
like everything's automated, right?
Yeah. And not only that, the combat was also
automated,
borked.
yeah.
No, not automated. Like it was tab targeting, right? Which is just fine. However, you can't move. What each attack? Imagine you were playing Warframe, right? And you had to activate an ability, but you had to stop in one spot.
Yeah, I see it now. The guy's attacking a wolf with a sword, and he's just standing still every time he attacks. Then he moves a bit to the right. Then when he attacks, he has to stand still again.
And there's PvP. So imagine how PvP is done. Two people are standing in like one spawn, just bashing on each other.
It's basically like, do you know, you used to see wars years ago between like the redcoats are coming and they just stand opposite ends of a field, just facing each other shooting.
Yeah,
it's basically like that. It's just holy shit.
So there's no auto attacking, there's no weaving between skills or attacks. So just imagine like a melee character running around chasing a ranged character. The ranged character can be running, the melee is chasing, the ranged character can stomp, do an attack.
And then
run away.
The melee guy has to catch him just to get a hit.
Yeah, it's so bad. Oh, and Amazon is publishing it.
Yeah, so it's going to be another New World, right? So with New World, they had a group of creators publishing it or promoting it on Twitch, and then after a week, it just completely fell off and
New World's actually doing better now, way better.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it did like a 360, and it's holding up its player base.
Oh, at least there's that because
But you can't say much about Lost Ark.
Oh, it's kind of dropped off completely. I think there's a lot of bots in that.
Yeah, bot Ark. At this point, they're making a lot of changes, but the player growth is just not the same as it was before.
Yeah, and it probably never will be.
Yeah, just quite sad. Like with these MMOs,
it's crazy though. With Throne and Liberty, I seen the video footage of it for the first trailer, and I thought, "Holy crap, this looks like it's going to be really good."
Yeah,
it's going to be really good. And then seeing the gameplay of it, because you can watch it on Twitch at the minute. I think there's a beta for it or something.
Yeah. I mean, what are you watching? It's just chatting.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
the streamer's sitting there talking to the chats while the game plays for you. Like, where's the fun in that? Oh God, like that's so disappointing.
No, like I really want a good MMO to come out, and that was one of the ones I was looking at, and now I'm like.
I mean, there's the right MMO, probably 2026 is the expected beta. And then there's Blue Protocol. You saw that?
I've seen people talking about Blue Protocol.
I mean, it's an anime MMO. I don't know if you're into that.
Yeah, no, I've seen people talking about it on my Wayfinders videos, saying, "Oh, they'll just wait for Blue Protocol and things like that." And I've not actually looked it up. So I don't know anything about mechanics or what's it coming with.
So basically, you create a character, and there's no armor or specific gear that you go for. It's just your character with abilities, and the only thing that you upgrade is your weapon.
Oh.
However, the process of upgrading this weapon is so convoluted. And that's what kind of like irks me. I'm like, oh, you have to go through. I mean, that was just a beta at that time, so we haven't really seen what they're actually going for. But from the looks of it, it was not good because there's no instance looting. So to upgrade the weapon, you had to go to different areas, either kill a bunch of mobs with super low drop rates, loot a certain like animals or whatever, harvest flowers, mine some rocks. With horrible drop rates. So imagine you leveling from 1 to 10, and now you have to upgrade your weapon. Now you have to waste time instead of leveling, go around, collect these things to upgrade your weapon, which you can only do at a vendor.
So then you have to go find a vendor.
Yeah.
Which is taking time away from leveling.
Yes. So,
yeah, no, I would absolutely hate that.
And there's no like passive healing. Apparently you either have to use a potion, which is quite expensive and very rare from what the guy was showing.
Do you have to farm for the potion materials as well?
Yeah, and all that, yep.
Right. Okay, yeah, so...
Or you have to...
second time out to farm materials just to have potions.
Yeah, or you have to find a camp so you can sit down and heal. You can't just passively heal when you're out of combat.
So you have to sit at a camp. How long does that take?
I don't know. I didn't really pay attention. He just showed like, you have to find a camp. So you have to leave what you were doing, like especially the quest area, find a camp, sit down by the fire just so you can heal, then go back.
No, that's terrible.
Yeah.
I'll wait for the Riot one. Because to be fair, Riot's games tend to be really good. So either that or just jump back into Final Fantasy, I guess. If I wanted an MMO.
I couldn't get into Final Fantasy.
I couldn't either. I got to level 44 or something like that.
I got to level 11.
I'm told from level 50 onwards it gets better.
The problem is the
subscription based though.
Number one, I don't like Japanese games and their UIs. They're the worst. I don't know why there's like a menu for a menu to find something else.
Oh yeah, dude, there's so many menus in Final Fantasy that when I first jumped into it, I was so confused as to where everything fucking went.
That's with every Japanese game though. Yeah. Phantasy Star Online is like that. If you see Blue Protocol, it's also Japanese. It's also like that. And when I saw Final Fantasy, the UI, the mini map, I'm like, and then there's the global cooldowns.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I like my skills to have individual cooldowns.
Yeah, well, I'm okay with the global cooldowns because World of Warcraft would have had that.
Yeah.
Some abilities would be on individual cooldowns, but then some of them would be would share the same global cooldown. So that wouldn't bother me too much. But I got as far as level 40, 43 or something like that, and then my Twitch community were like, "How many subs for you to change your character into that little midget?" And I told them, and they hit it, and I went, "I'm never playing this again." And I uninstalled it.
Dang.
I was like, I can't believe he's ruined this for me.
Based.
So, yeah. Well,
okay.
Maybe I'll go back to it at some point. I don't know.
Have you ever tried Guild Wars 2 as an MMO?
I've actually got a Founders account for Guild Wars 2.
What?
So I have. Yeah, around the time of doing World of Warcraft, and then that was announced, I went, you know what? And I got a Founders account for that. And I played it, and I got to the end. And I think I was doing some of the Realm v Realm PvP, and I think we tried one of the raids, and then I kind of got sucked back into World of Warcraft, and I just kept going at that again. So I never went back to Guild Wars. But I believe there's loads to it, like the exploration, the puzzles, like there's tons of different things you could call your end game if you wanted to.
For me, if anyone asks like, "Well, what's an MMO I can try right now?" Definitely, I always recommend Guild Wars 2. It's like that hidden gem because it has a lot of things that other MMOs don't have.
Yeah.
It's like you can do whatever you want and still get useful rewards that can benefit you.
Nice art style as well.
Yeah.
The UI, I like the symbols for some of the spells.
Very clean,
I think I had one of those
simple,
Necromancer class, whatever that one was.
Yeah.
Not Necro, Poison one.
I think I had one of them. Necromancer, yeah.
Yeah, I think I had that, and I thought I really liked the look of the UI, the spells.
So. Yeah, everything has its own theme, its own type of menu, armor design, which is really, really good. I like that. And unfortunately, the dev team and the marketing team really sucks at promoting the game.
Oh, there's some games out there like that, though, where you go, why the fuck have they not promoted this game more? Yep. Like, have you played Deep Rock Galactic?
No, but I my friends do.
Dude, play it.
I didn't like the look of it. Like
ignore the look of it. Right? ignore the polygon pixelated kind of Minecraft.
I watched them play on Discord, and they get crazy. It's like, oh, something to do with the beer. Go here and that. I mean,
yeah. If you play it and you level your characters up and you hit the max level and you start doing the higher tiered stuff.
Yeah,
it is honestly some of the best gameplay of any game I've played in the last few years.
Really,
it is incredible.
Okay.
And it has one of the best communities out there.
Okay.
That I think out of any game I've ever played. If you stream it, you'll notice. Not just that, there's an incredible Twitch extension.
I see.
Which basically your chat can get involved in, and they can basically spawn hordes of enemies in. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
So for fight, and you can tweak it yourself. So you can set it to like, okay, if someone donates 500 bits, it will spawn in one of the huge big guys.
There's something like that in Borderlands 3. I don't know if it's still there.
Yeah, Borderlands have a really good... There's a few games out there that have really good Twitch extensions.
Yeah.
But Deep Rock Galactic is one of the best. And it's not even the devs that made it. It's a community-made one. But the game on its own, getting any of those characters to level up, unlocking all of the weapons, then there is the... there's like mods you get. I can't remember what they're called, but there's mods you get for those weapons that you can only get once a week. So there's like a weekly mission.
Okay.
And you can get 2 of them a week that basically allows you to alter how your weapons will perform, whether it's your flamethrower, your minigun, your SMG, your sniper rifle, whatever. But it's the fact that when you jump in, every mission is different, how it's going to go. Whether it's like there's a certain enemy type, like the massive bulk detonators, which are this huge big thing that has like pimples on its back, and when you shoot those, it explodes and leaves a massive crater.
Okay.
But if you're near it and it explodes, you're dead. You know, and it's always walking slowly, menacingly towards you. So you're like constantly running. Is it
like Left 4 Dead kind of?
No, you know, how do you? It's right. So your job is basically you go down on a drill into the center of Hoxus, the planet, and you have to mine. So you'll basically have an assignment. Okay, you need to get this amount of crystals, this amount of mushrooms, this amount of something else, and then you have to escape. So it's a race to get that, and every so often hordes of enemies will spawn while you're trying to farm the minerals and get all of that, and you'll have to fight them all off. And then
do you get like newer weapons and all that stuff?
Yeah. As you level up the characters, you'll get newer miniguns. So like the heavy gunner starts with a minigun, but then he gets like a massive flat cannon, and then later on he gets like what do you call those rocket launchers where you can a wire guided rocket launcher, so you can direct which way the rockets are going to go with your weapon. Okay. All these types of things. But then you can get mods that will turn, like when those rockets explode, they leave a trail of fire on the ground.
Are these mods on the weapon or like your character?
You eventually, they're overclocks. They're called overclocks. So basically, you install them on the weapon in the terminal back at the base.
Okay. So is it similar to like runes in Diablo?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it would be. So basically, it alters how each of your characters could play. So you could have two drillers on your team. One could be using the cryo flamethrower, and one would be using the actual flamethrower. So one would be freezing them, and one would be melting them. Do you know that type of thing?
Okay. Is there like a type of elemental combination, like a reaction?
I think it would have been cool if there was. If you like, if someone was using the ice, and then you used the fire, and all of a sudden it would cause steam or explosions or something like that. But what there is that profound need to panic and get the fuck away from as many of these insects that are coming after you as possible. Like there is moments in the higher tier 1, the tier 4. Or tier 5, I think it is, where you're doing the weekly deep dives, which are the name of the final missions, and it gets so fucking hectic.
Do they like drop loot, like these insects? So
Okay. You get gold, and then there's other crystals and materials that you then spend back in the base to upgrade your weapons or to prestige your class.
Oh, so they don't drop weapons, just materials.
Just materials that you then go back and you buy. Not just that, then you can buy afros for your dwarf from up. Fucking handlebar moustaches and different outfits and all that sort of stuff as well. It's also got a free season pass. Every season pass to have is free.
Oh wow!
And it's all nothing but cosmetics, and you don't spend any money whatsoever.
So it's a buy-to-play game with a free season pass.
Yeah, but it's like barely. It's quite a cheap game as well.
Okay,
but it is a game that if you got your community in on, you would have a fucking ton of fun with.
That's interesting. Okay,
but you just need to bypass the visuals, like ignore the visuals, because it's not AAA. It's not anything like that.
That's what the devs went through. Like they decided to keep it simple, but paid more. They added more love to the gameplay and the
But the thing is, they don't really promote it a lot.
I see.
Do you know what I mean? Okay. They don't really.
I mean, that does require having the funds to do so.
Yeah, which they wouldn't have, I guess. They're quite a small team. But like, if you look at it on Steam, it's got 170,000 reviews and overwhelmingly positive. So that's.
I thought you were gonna say 170K like concurrent players right now. I'm like, damn, that's
I don't know what the concurrent players
that's impressive.
Some of those games that you jump in, have a ton of fun with friends,
and then
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And then you'd spend a few hours on it, and then that'd be it. But it is quite addicting when you first jump into it.
I see.
You spend a lot of time, so I would recommend it.
Would you want like anything similar to that, like weapon drops or different rolled items to appear in Warframe, like to make it seem more of a looter shooter, like your grind for the
for the actual reward.
Yeah,
I think that's a topic that's as old as Warframe itself. That basically you want to have something that's worth going for, and like the ability to have a mission. Whether it was the old raids that were there, instead of having arcanes
and cosmetics.
If you come, if you coming back from any MMO, you know right well that.
Yeah.
When you see people wearing certain armor or having certain weapons,
they did something.
They worked for that.
Yeah.
They did something to get that. So with World of Warcraft, it was if you seen someone with the Warglaives of Azeroth, the two Tonfas that were like green flames,
like Illidan type of thing.
Literally Illidan's weapons. Yeah,
okay.
But you could only get one at a time. They didn't drop at the same time, so you'd get maybe the left one.
Oh, that's
1 year. And you could be waiting for a solid year and you wouldn't get the other one. But if you're in a clan or a guild where they were using DKP as a resource for drops, so DKP was used as a currency, so that you could save up your DKP every time you raided.
I see.
And then you could spend it on an item that you wanted. So if you were raiding for a solid several months and you had like 3,000 DKP and then an item drop that you really wanted, and out of the 25 people in the raid or 24 people in the raid, you would say, right, I want to spend my DKP and I want to get that trinket or I want to get that weapon. But then someone else in the raid could also have more DKP than you and they could buy it. And then you'd be like, right, okay, well, now I need to wait. So,
okay,
with
so,
the war glaives,
it was only like sold once at the vendor or at...
No, it would be handed out by the raid leader. So it would drop from the boss. And then the raid leader would have control over who got what loot.
So what if the raid leader took it himself, you know?
Yeah, but that's something that would have happened a lot. But when it was in an established guild, like a proper tiered guild that was pushing a famous one, like they'd do it the legit way. They wouldn't do it in a nasty way. They wouldn't keep it themselves. They'd spend a DKP and they'd punish people for being assholes about it and whatnot, you know. But if you done it in a public setting, then yeah, you'd get fucked over.
Oh yeah, I remember loot stealing, or that was just
yeah, it was a thing. I done several raids with pubs where the loot would drop, and next thing all of a sudden the raid leader would just disappear from the group. He'd like take everything and he'd be gone, and everyone would be like, "What? Where's the loot? Are we not getting the roll for this?"
So
you know,
in Aeon there was this thing where you had to roll for the thing that you wanted. So for certain
dice roll.
Yeah, for certain dungeons and raids, you would do a class roll. But then the gladiator was the only class in the game that could use multiple weapons. Yeah. And they had an excuse. Oh yeah, the mace and the dagger, that's for my dual wielding set. Oh, the bow, that's for my kiting set. Oh, the leather armor, that's for my dexterity set or something like that, right?
I think Fury Warriors in World of Warcraft had that because they could wear plate, they could wear mail, they could wear leather,
they could wear anything.
And they could use any one-handed weapon that they wanted, whether it was swords, hammers, axes, and they'd basically fuck over rogues. They'd steal everything.
Yeah, it was like, what the fuck, dude? You don't need it. Actually, that's Warcraft a casting speed mace. I mean, like, hey, listen, I have that one ability.
But it's a really good crit on it. It's a really good crit on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it would be nice to have something that's, like I said, going back to the fact that you see weapons in those games and you go, okay, that guy had to work to get those warglaives. He had to go through a year of raiding and whatnot, and that's why he looks as awesome as he is. And Warframe doesn't really have that. And I think maybe with the raids, or even with the Eidolons, it was always something that's been brought up, you know.
I hope they bring back raids or some newer type of... Yeah.
The your mother that's in the jacuzzi. They basically don't have that in Warframe, where there's no weapons where you go, you know what, that's something that you really had to work to get, because everyone can get everything, because Warframe is such a new player oriented game. Like it's always been aimed at new players, because the community is such a kind of rotating door for players who join the game and then have a couple of months leave. Yeah, and then next thing, there's a new batch of them that come in and then go out. And you'll see it with your YouTube videos with comments where people will be new to the game consistently regarding all of your stuff, you know. And
speaking of which, that was actually a hilarious thing. But before I say that, did you ever Reddit yourself?
Yes. Don't.
So yeah, Flynn got me to search for Reddit with my name. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Don't.
But yeah. So there was one comment where I replied to this one guy. He was asking, it was like an Eidolon guide, right? Where it was basically the meta, the min-max thing for Eidolon amps. So I gave them a path they can follow. Like if you're starting out new, you just get this one. And then if you get, better and you want to improve, you get that one. And then finally, the best amp, you have to use this specific amp, because this is what gets you the best results. Better damage, better crits, etc., etc. So then they responded, what if I don't have this? So and then I just replied, just farm it, just get it. It's not that hard. It just takes a week or two, right?
Yeah.
And then there was an entire Reddit post made about me. This guy's so toxic. He told me to just get the... I'm like, what else are you going to do? Just sit there? Just get it.
Yeah. So I actually... I got shared one recently, actually, only the other day on my Discord. So there's one at the minute where it was like the Incarnanak and Brunt video. And it was another really small content creator who basically said, my video stopped getting views when Tactical Potato uploaded his video.
Oh, Az just showed me that post last night, to be honest.
dude, it was like 24 hours. It was a full 24 hours after the other video was uploaded. So it wasn't like it was within an hour or 2 hours or something like that. It was like a full 24 hours. I was like, that's literally how YouTube works.
Yeah, it's the algorithm.
Your videos will always have a downturn in views after the 24-hour mark. And I understand I guess maybe the insecurity of the whole thing. But it was like, it's quite a weird post to put up to talk about the Warframe rat race. And
it's a race right now every week.
It's probably the worst I've seen it in a long time. Where
I kind of like it, you know. It's like, who's gonna post it first?
It's the most interactive that I've seen the Warframe content creation community in a long fucking time. And it's because of this. I think the last time I seen it this interactive was probably Plains of Eidolon when it first dropped, and everyone was rushing to get the videos out on the best way to grind this resource and the best place to go on the map to do this and where the secret locations were and all these different things. Because you had those toroids, was it? Or whatever the fuck the things you used to farm underground.
Yeah, that was in at the Fortuna, that place, yeah.
Yeah, so it was like with that as well. So there's been areas of every update where it's been like that. But this one was kind of weird because it's like the Reddit thread is basically saying that people are rushing videos out, and because of this, there's misinformation.
You want to know something funny? One day, like randomly at 3 a.m. in the morning, this video got recommended to me. I click on it. It was basically, the title was just like straight up like, don't go to these YouTubers. I'm like, what's this? Is this like another...
Warframe ones?
Yeah, it's a Warframe one. It's like a drama video. I click on it, and thank God I saw this because it was the most hilarious shit I've ever seen. So apparently there are these very new random content creators. I wouldn't even call them content creators. What they will do is they would say, subscribe to my channel and I'll give away a code to get an incarnate adapter.
Yeah.
And it was the cheesiest Photoshop thing. Like basically they would have like this bare bones new character, new player Warframe thing with the Paris, whatever, the kunai. Then they would walk to the marketplace. They would go to the redeem section, and then suddenly the screen will get blurred, and then it will pop up with a message: subscribe, or if I reach this amount of subscribers, I would release the code so you can get a free incarnate adapter. And then they showcase how they entered the redeem code, and suddenly they're walking around and they do this cheesy sound effect, like, ding, and then like like a drawn image of the
really bad fucking
Photoshop. All right. And I was like, wait, that's a thing? And so this guy was covering all of these like guys who are like scamming viewers, and they were actually getting subscribers, and they're like, where's the code? I'm like, you can't be that dumb to fall for that.
There always is though on YouTube. There's a reason that some YouTubers' channels will have comments at the top of someone mimicking the actual YouTuber. Follow me now and I'll send you $1,000, that type of thing.
Oh, the Telegram scams. You gotten that?
Yeah. So you get like there's a reason that all of those are there, because people fall for them. They wouldn't do it if they didn't. True. It's like, do you get emails from brands that aren't real?
Yes.
Sponsorships,
yes,
and you can tell a mile away that it's a scam, and you're going, dude, it's like, hi, I'm George from Nike, and I'd really like to buy an advert on your channel. You're going, really, George? Really? What calls this? Because there's no like, the way when you get a proper branded email for a sponsor, they'll have the signature at the bottom, they'll have the links to their Discord,
but that also can be faked. That also can.
It can be, it can be. There's ones that I'll work with because I've worked with them in the past, and then there's ones that I blank and straight up ignore.
And some
I get them on like I've got
really just like obvious that you're you're just gonna
like really broken English, really badly worded. There's no paragraphs. There's nothing else.
They're evolving now. ChatGPT is a thing.
Yeah, that's true. So. It's always one of those fears that you'll click on and you'll go, yeah, this actually looks legit, and then you'll sign up for it, and then you go, oh, well, there's my YouTube gone.
Yeah.
So, but to go back to the whole Reddit thing, I understand the video about the Yak and Brunt, because like your channel was small at one point, my channel was small at one point,
absolutely.
And you understand that once you upload a video, when the bigger guys upload their videos, yours is always going to take that hit, whether it's within the first 5 minutes or within the first 10 minutes. And the Reddit thread by the guy who put up the video, there was nothing nasty in it, you know. And but it's when you then go down into the Reddit comments.
I think it was just showing like the metrics, how.
Yeah, his tailored off completely at the end. But it was like that was after the 24-hour mark, and it was the Encounter Nakenbrunt. It wasn't like
a popular choice.
It wasn't a popular choice. It wasn't one that a lot of people were going to go for. And the only reason I picked it is because it's one of my favorite weapons. The same with the Icod the week before. But it's when you go down into the Reddit comments after that, and you start seeing the nastiness.
Oh, it's just funny. I love it. It's funny.
And you're going, what the fuck? Like, you know, like we're making videos because we enjoy a game and you want to show off a certain weapon and whatnot, and then you see some of the comments and you go, okay, I'm just going to leave Reddit. I'm not going to. Why did someone share this with me?
I mean, there are people who just hate you because they hate you. It's fine. I don't mind it, but I like to see their point of view, and some of them just don't like few things about you, right? There's like, oh yeah, he has good information, but I hate his voice.
Oh, dude, with my accent, I've been told so many times. I got one. What was it? Next time you're doing a video, can you take the potato out of your mouth so as we can actually understand you?
Wow.
Like, oh, okay. Thanks, dude.
So there was one comment that I always remember, and it was the first time I actually showed my face in a video.
Oh, dude, yeah, that's always an eye opener, isn't it?
Yeah, it was one video where I showcased slash weapons at a very high level, and there was one comment. And basically, I had my stream, like a piece of the VOD on my stream, and I uploaded sections of it, and you know, explained about the weapons and modding, etc., etc. And one of the comments was like, "Can you please do a disclaimer before you show your face? I didn't know you were that color."
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah, I didn't even say anything. I just thought it was funny. But then that comment got like massive replies till he eventually deleted it. But
it was already, you knew it was already there. Like, did you at least get the shadow ban the guy or ban him or anything?
No, I didn't even. I'd like, because I saw the comment and I just laughed and I just, you know, went about my day. So when I came back next day, it was just littered with replies. So it reached around like 30 to 40 replies. People were saying like, basically telling him like, what the fuck, dude? That's stupid. Don't say shit like that.
You'll always get fucking idiots on YouTube because there is like, it's different to Twitch because on Twitch they're there talking
live. Oh, dude, I love having fun with weirdos.
People who come in, yeah. Whereas with YouTube, they basically just drop the comment and leave it, you know, and then that's it. They're free to do whatever. Yeah, over the years, you kind of learn to.
Oh, also you gotta have a thick skin. You gotta have a thick skin if you're doing content.
Yeah, you got, like I remember doing DevStream 100 where they flew me over to Canada, and they had said to me like in the messages and the replies and that prior to that, you know, are you okay with being on the camera? And I was like, no, straight away, because I didn't have a webcam. I didn't do any of that at the time.
Oh, okay.
And so I said, no, I'm not. I'll be okay. Just put me off camera. And they were like, right, okay, so we'll put you off to the side and you can be beside Megan on the laptop and you can be just replying to comments. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. And then we got there. And I had my wife with me and Rebecca goes, right, so do you want to be in the camera? Do you want to sit there in the crowd with Megan? And I was like, not really. I was like, we already spoke about this. But then I felt like I was put on the spot.
Oh, no.
And they're like, oh, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And eventually I went, right, okay. My wife was like, you'll be okay. Don't worry about it. I was like, right, fine, I'll do it. You know, I'll man up.
Yeah.
And I was sitting down beside Megan and I was reading the comments.
Oh, was that your first time?
First time, yeah. And then I see the comment was, I knew he was fat. And I went, fuck's sake. And I really did. Really? And I was talking to Scott after it, and I was like,
no
shot. They brought us to like this, what you call a craft beer place. And Scott was like, I said that to Scott, you know, the first comment I seen, and he goes, welcome to my fucking world. he says, every time the fucking chat is up and I'm looking at it, I get those comments. And I was like, Yeah, it can't be fucking easy.
Listen, yeah, I mean, the good thing that prepared me for this is I worked in basically retail and customer service, so I got assholes every day. Like, so yeah, I built up some sort of like
a
tolerance and an attitude. I mean, sometimes I tend to troll a lot in my comments, or just be sarcastic and snarky, and people are like, "Oh, this guy's so toxic" and all that. Like, to be honest, I'm just fucking around, right? You leave a dumb comment, I leave a dumber comment. You know, just
yeah.
And hey, it helps with the algorithm. You know, reply.
Definitely reply back.
Yeah, go for it.
But yeah, over the years, I think I probably started off that way as well with my channel. Like, originally, before I became known as, I guess, the neutral guy, the guy that didn't really get involved in stuff and didn't really do any of that, I was quite the opposite. I think for a large portion, I became quite negative, to the point that I was kicked out of the partner program.
Wait, no way. Wait, you got
years
kicked?
ago. Yeah, for the first, I was the first one to be kicked.
Damn, so basically, the rebel.
I was quite negative. Like, I went down that kind of negative. You know, when you start not enjoying something, it kind of leans into the negativity of you covering the game. And I became quite negative when they nerf things or did update things. I was making videos saying, you know, complaining about. And then I made a video. I think it was like the nerf mentality. And it was about how they always lean into nerfing things instead of releasing them in that state in the first place. So they'll leave something for 9 months until people have dumped loads of Forma into it and built specific setups around it, and then they nerf it. And I was like, why? They shouldn't be doing that. And then I turned around and I went, you know what? And I made a video and I go, I'm going to take a break. I'm taking a break for Warframe because I'm not enjoying it anymore. And I got an email within an hour of that video saying, thanks for your service. You've been removed from the partner program.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I think it was like Drew at the time was the head of it. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. And that was it. And then I think that took like 6 months out and kind of reevaluated everything. And I went, right, okay, I'm going to try this again, but I'm going to try it from, I think, a different perspective. One that I just want to have fun. And if something happens, it happens. It's out of my control and there's nothing I can fucking do about it. And there's no point in me getting annoyed about a bunch of pixels on a screen that's got no real world kind of implications. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's a PvE game.
Exactly. So I kind of just went into it with that perspective, and that's when the channel probably started to take off. And I was like, right, okay. So I was doing it. You know, when you lean into the negativity, your community grows around that.
Yeah.
So you see channels done in every kind of game, no matter what game they're covering, and there'll be ones that will be negative, and because they become popular for being negative, then they kind of get stuck being negative. So I kind of didn't want to be that person, because that's going to play havoc with your own mentality.
I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Yeah. So
usually I would look at your type of content as the chill type of guy who, you know, who plays the game and has fun. Like, you don't really pay attention to like giga damage.
No, I
level
don't.
9K.
It's not my thing. Although I do get a blast out of seeing. Like when you and Az, and like I recommended a few others, but I don't know their names. So Engineer has some really good reviews as well when it comes to going into details.
Yes.
And I do think that channels like yours, like Az's, like Engineers, need way more publicity, because while I'm doing all the casual stuff and just doing more news and that type of thing for the game, you guys are doing the work for the builds and for the min-maxing and showing just how good something is. So when someone turns around and says, look, this Warframe is average, this Warframe is bad, or this weapon is bad, and then you see you guys tearing the fucking thing apart, you know what I mean? Like destroying everything with that Warframe or with that weapon. It's
but
like,
let's be honest, there are some Warframes that are just not
there's just Warframes that you can't redeem them no matter what. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I guess there's probably Warframes that you've gone against level 9,000 enemies, and even for you guys, you've gone, right, that was not enjoyable. That was.
Oh yeah.
You've had to rely heavily on not a broken mechanic, but maybe a weapon that's carrying that Warframe more so than anything else. You know?
For my Inaros, I did rely on a broken mechanic. So
dude, Inaros is so good. What the fuck? Why do you guys hate Inaros so much? Like, he's tank. He's the tank in the game, dude. He's like,
okay. So the thing is,
he can't die. He's unkillable. When you see any of those YouTube videos that are like unkillable god Inaros, King Inaros, you know, what the fuck?
Listen. So with Inaros, right? I'm just saying, his ability. He doesn't have abilities that are useful.
Doesn't have shield gating. That's what you mean.
No, I don't really care about shield gating. I actually use a lot of health tank builds.
Right.
The thing is, right, I like to have something to do. With the Naros, it's just like you go in a mission, you're using weapons. You're not using your kit. There's nothing there. Yeah, you stand there for like 10 seconds, sucking off your health.
I don't even do that.
To get
I don't even do that. It's like I can't be fucking bothered.
Exactly.
His abilities are that just dull.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like his kit really sucks. He's just health. He's nothing unique. Nothing outstanding. While there's others.
So what's your gloom of choice then? Oh, not your gloom of choice. Sorry, your gloom. What's your ability to subsume of choice then?
What
to save him?
To save him? Nothing.
Nothing.
I have one of my funniest favorite builds for Inaros is my speed roast. So I have arcane agility to give him, when you take damage, you get the parkour velocity. I have infested mobility and all the sprint speed and bullet jump mods, and people are actually shocked. I can zoom across the map with Inaros. We're like, wait, how are you doing that? It's just simple. It's a meme build. That's the only way I would use Inaros.
I think those types of builds need more fucking right. So a lot of people just play the game for fun, for shits and giggles, and for downtime between work, college, school, all of those different things.
Exactly.
So when you see people putting out the meme builds that are like, look, this Warframe might not be great, and this weapon might not be great, but when you combine them together, you can have a proper laugh with them.
Yeah.
Those types of setups are enjoyable as well, which is something I enjoy seeing some of the content creators put out.
Oh yeah, Az released a video recently about Inaros where he had to do a lot of min-maxing. Yes, just to get Inaros to be a DPS with his third ability. I mean, the damage is very copium. Like it's like I mean, like, you can do way better with other Warframes, but hey, he made it work.
Yeah,
through a lot of loops, hoops you have to jump through just to get things working. But still, it's doable, right? It's doable.
So what you're saying is Inros is actually good because you can do DPS now. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, there are frames that definitely need help, and I'm one of those people who always, who shouts out like, bro, Hydroid, Inaros. Listen, I say, and Chroma as well. I was a huge Chroma fan. I bought his Prime Access. I was one of those guys, right, who used nothing but Chroma, especially when it came to Eidolon hunts, all that. And people are like, you hate Chroma because you're not playing it. I'm like, bro, I used to be one of the biggest spokesperson for Chroma. I love this dude.
Yeah.
Right? Of course, you're the bigger one, but I'm just saying, like, I love this guy, and, he was
he was one of those frames that was hugely popular.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of what, like, a huge chunk of the community really liked him, even though he was slow.
Oh, yeah. He was done dirty.
You were relying more on weapons than anything else, He was still...
The whole self-damage mechanic, or all the different ways to get his Vex armor buffed, all that was removed. Yeah. Like, now you literally have to stand still for enemies to hit you. And with shield gating, that damage buildup is actually now reduced because the damage has to go through your shields.
Yeah.
It's really irritating. And I was I was really disappointed like what they did with I would just give him the buff with one button.
Yeah, kind of like what Grendel has,
or Mirage. Press a button,
for me, when I look back for frames that I think I think I would like to see them receive some kind of a buff.
Mm-hmm.
I'll always go back to the really old frames because I feel like the game has kind of moved on past some of them.
Loki Rhino.
Well, yeah, Loki Rhino, even Ash. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, with specific builds, they're insanely. Yeah, with specific builds, they're insanely good. Well, not insanely good, but they're good.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of feel like there's elements to the game that have moved on past some of them.
True.
So they'd be some of them. Like, I don't know why the community doesn't like Nyx.
Yo, Nyx is crazy good.
Yeah, but she's literally the least used frame.
It's
like,
surprising,
if you read the last 3 years of stats that they've released at the end of the year, and Nyx and Nyx Prime see less usage than any other frame combined.
You want to know what's hilarious?
It's crazy.
She's one of the top 3 most powerful endurance running Warframes.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but that's
second guess that at all.
That's for endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is what it is. And And funny enough, she was the Warframe I used for my Sisters of Parvos speedrun. I released a video where I finished Sisters of Parvos. Well, it's RNG, okay? So getting the correct things right off the bat, first run, is completely RNG. But I'm just showcasing like her second ability can strip Parvos shields and armor. So you can just one tap them. You subsume silence so the dogs don't nullify or affect any of your abilities. So you can just go in there, one shot. You strip armor. You crowd control everything. It's just easy.
Yeah.
But then again, Nyx, she's more reliant on, shield gating builds, and shield gating builds, of course, need you to be active. It's an active playstyle. You have to press buttons. You have to, not stand in one spot like in Aros, right? You have to move, use the tools that Warframe is providing you. Like all the crazy movement, use them. But that's another thing that people don't like. They just like to stand there, shoot the new weapon that they just got, which makes sense. Like, yeah, you just got a new toy, you want to play around with it
for a week.
Yeah, but sometimes if you gotta move, not stand in one spot.
Yeah. But I just find it crazy that she's like the least used. I'd understand if it was Hydroid or if it was.
I'm surprised Hydroid isn't. Yeah.
But so she's the least used, which kind of baffles me.
Hopefully she gets like a tweak to make her better.
Well, she was, I think, at one point, I don't know if she still is, Rebecca's favorite Warframe.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so
yeah,
that might not be the case anymore because Rebecca's going through like the vampire stage. So maybe it's another Warframe.
Vampire stage? Yeah. What is that?
She's into vampires.
Really?
Yeah, so that's basically, I guess maybe we'll have a vampire. Have we a vampire frame? Garuda?
Vampire frame, kinda. It's Revenants.
Garuda's kind of, is it?
Yeah, because I just learned this yesterday. By the way, I was watching this video about different facts about Warframe. So, Revenant was supposed to be named Vlad, like Dracula, and his Reeve is technically a life-stealing, like a...
Yeah, when you go through enemies, it leeches, yeah.
So, yeah, I guess that's a vampire. Garuda's not really... okay, I mean, let's say her second ability, the Impaling ability, I guess. Yeah. She doesn't really suck blood.
Sacrifices, she sacrificed some of her life for energy, isn't it? So I guess there's that element too. But yeah, maybe Nyx will get a buff.
But they did say they're not looking to rework anything anytime soon.
They said that they weren't, and then I think Pablo mentioned on not yesterday's dev stream, on the prior dev stream, that once the dust had settled on Deviri, then they might look at possibly looking at other Warframes. I think he mentioned one Warframe, might have been...
Inaros was one of them.
Yeah, and I think Hydroid was one as well. I think he mentioned on Twitter, that he'd have a look at those Warframes.
Yeah.
But now that they're announcing the 7 crimes of Kalervo, they're probably just going to... Because it's supposed to be a huge update. It's not an Echoes one.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be priority now, which means chances are if they're looking at Warframes, that'll get pushed back down the line again, and then next update it'll be the same. So
and then they have to also prepare for the TennoCon.
TennoCon this year.
Do you think they're gonna pull a fast one on us? Like they said, they're not gonna do anything raid related, and they might show something. Endgaming.
I wouldn't listen to anything they have to say. I wouldn't believe anything they have to say. I think that if they say they're not going to do something, then there's a chance that might show up.
Yeah,
because they don't like the whole reveal thing, or that they don't like stuff getting leaked and all of that. And I think one of the proudest moments is the playing the EIDOLON, the fact that never got leaked.
Oh yeah, that's actually
and the fact that on that reveal where Rebecca walks up and the doors open and she goes out, the fact that never the community knew nothing about. There was loads of things everyone was guessing what was coming, but yet no one expected that, and then no one expected the Railjack thing either. So.
Don't remind me of Railjack. God, that was so I was excited for that, and then what we got, that was so disappointing.
We got basically about 3 or 4 months of what was probably Warframe's worst moment in terms of the dev cycle.
Oh yeah,
because Railjack was so bad, and then there was an event I think they released which didn't work properly as well, which was quite bugged. So there was a lot of things one after another.
was it the Arcane event with the Oplinks or some shit?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, because it was supposed to be squad link, wasn't it? And then it didn't fucking work. And more often than not, you'd do one mission, and then when you go down to the ground to do the other one or up into space, you'd be getting codes that were sent by you half an hour ago.
Oh no!
While being down on the ground, instead of getting them from other people,
I think what made it worse was that they released the update and they just went on vacation.
Yeah,
and they just left everything.
Yeah, and it was basically a file, and it was like that for several months, So.
And then the whole rework, and then by the time they reworked Railjack, nobody cared. It's like, okay, it's just there.
Yeah.
Till today, I don't like Railjack. I wouldn't unless we're forced in its form, to do it. Yeah.
I think in its current form,
it's definitely better. Yeah.
It's definitely better, which wouldn't have been hard, to be fair. It wouldn't have been hard at all. But now you hear like Destiny's talking about possible space combat being added, and all I can think of is Railjack.
Yeah. And when they were talking about underwater stuff, I was expecting underwater combat, but we just got
walking into bubbles.
I was like, why? You had so much potential.
So much potential. Yeah, you didn't do it.
But it is what it is. Like, and then they also leaked the final expansion, the final shape. Right. Yeah. I was not expecting that.
Or someone else leaked it.
It was released on PlayStation's channel.
Oh, dude! And you've got Cade coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're inside the Guardian and all that. Yeah.
Destiny suffers from more leaks than I think Warframe ever has in terms of like upcoming content and seasons and weapons and all of that.
The thing is, with Destiny leaks, it is a bigger game, and there's definitely
definitely
larger community, and there is more lore and loot to go after, unlike Warframe. So that's what makes it more enticing. Like, oh, what's coming next? So I can prepare. And there is that whole FOMO thing, right? Things, a certain season, like a seasonal item that you can only get during that period, it's going to go away. So if you don't farm it in time, well, you just lost so much
to get it.
So there isn't anything like that in Warframe, because Warframe, hey, you take a break, you come back, you're just going to get everything.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think there's the only thing that's off limits is Excalibur Prime. You know what I mean? Like Excalibur, Lasso, and Scanna.
Now with the weekly Incarnate, that's kind of a FOMO thing. It's like if you pick the wrong one, you're gonna have to wait, several weeks.
Now said, Pablo tweeted out that they're bringing in you're going to be able to remove Incarnates. Pablo tweeted out last night, you're going to be able to remove adapters from weapons. So if you've put one on a Wraith or one of the other variants and it's better on the other one, then I guess you're going to be able to take it off soon.
That's
but it's
good.
probably going to cost. It's probably going to cost a considerable bit.
Yeah, some sort of like bile requirement. That is
more than likely. So to say that's going to be coming.
That's still fine. At least, because there are people who are just so disappointed, like, oh, I don't have the Prime version of this weapon, so I had to use it on the regular one. I'm not getting.
Have you had any comments from people saying that they were that excited to put the Incarnate on a weapon that they put it on the normal one by mistake?
Yes.
Yeah, I've had a few of those. Fucking hell.
Yes.
That'd be good.
I mean, just take your time. Make sure you click the correct one. I mean, there is a confirmation, right?
Yeah.
So I guess, pay attention. I mean, probably it could be like late at night and they're just like, I finally got it. They're sleepy. They want to click the button, go to bed. Yeah, I understand. They just finished
you could be
farming.
doing that grind. Yeah, you could do that circuit grind and going, right, I've now got all of this stuff and I need to quickly put on the weapon and not pay attention to what you're doing and put it on the wrong one. So yeah. They did say they're adding another Incarnate weapon, so I'll be interested to see what.
There was a leak for the Cold Star, and I did do a video like, yo, prepare, get yourself a Cold Star.
Yeah, there was a leak like months ago that gave a whole big long list of which weapons were showing up and which weapons weren't, and the Cold Star was one of them. So.
I was excited, and one guy actually got several ribbons only for it to not be released. Really? Oh shit! I'm sorry, I didn't know. I'm just going off.
Well, it'll still be added. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It'll still be added at some point, unless the Incarnate system becomes one where to go. And they support it for a while and then move on to a different system and just leave it to the wayside.
I mean, I think it's a good system, but if you look at it carefully, it is a band-aid fix for weapons that are really horrible. And instead of them going out fixing each single one, this is a good way, just to revitalize older weapons that nobody touches anymore, or even thinks about.
Yeah, it's a way to revitalize them for like some of the old school ones that people would have put a lot of time into years ago, and now they can go right. I can now break that, get that weapon out again, and reminisce a bit while it's more powerful. But some of the Incarnon changes, I was kind of hoping that it might like completely change a weapon.
Oh yeah,
if you were.
I mean, some of them, yeah, they did completely change. For example, the Strun, the Latron, Torrid, they completely changed how they fire.
Oh yeah.
And that's what made them really,
I guess that's maybe the melee. The melee has fallen to the wayside in comparison to all of the ranged ones. I was kind of hoping it would have been nice if one of the melee turned into like a gunblade. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like that type of thing, like changing something from
here's
normal weapon
here's
into a
one
gunblade.
thing I really would love to eat and add into the thing: extendable weapons. So if you don't know, in the game I played before Aeon, right, it had extendable melee weapons. So a claymore or a spear or a dagger. So when you attack, it would break. It would break into several segments and have longer reach and have multi hits because all those little pieces will hit the enemy.
Oh, that would be cool on a weapon like the Auto, so that already has like a really long.
Yeah, so long reach. Yeah, I would love that. Like a simple auto attack or switch to Incarnate mode, it turns into something with longer reach.
Yeah.
But
I guess they've moved completely away from the melee meta.
Oh, they hated, like they gutted a lot of things. Like I still find it funny how they said the Gladiator set being added on Sentinels is a bug, while Vigilante still exists.
Yeah, but it's been there for years. Yeah, it's been a bug for if it's been a bug, then it's been a bug for years.
Yeah, I mean, several years.
Which again goes back to me talking earlier about how they leave things for years before changing it, and by that stage people have pumped tons of armor into a specific setup, and then now it's no good.
And then you kind of ask yourself, was it really a bug, or did you just want to like
remove it?
Yeah, you wanted this to be the final nail in the coffin to say, yo bros, stop it. Stop with the melees.
That's probably what it was more than anything, because melee was so fucking predominant, wasn't it?
I mean, it still is.
Oh yeah, look, it's not disappeared. I know some people think that it's basically it's all guns, but melees are still incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
So
the one thing that melees have an advantage over guns, they don't have to reload. They don't have to worry about ammo. Right? They have better scaling than guns. Because of all the
like a Warframe that just stands there like in a row, still great.
Yeah.
Because just
perfect.
You can just windmill.
Yeah, exactly. And they provide movement, added utility, especially for like people who like to use Nyx's fourth ability augment, where they're just slowed. You can use some stances with certain melees to, propel yourself forward.
Yeah.
So there's all those little things. Even melees now with the Incarnate, they give you movement utility, parkour utility.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Additional passives. And some of them have projectiles, so you have two forms. You want some range, you want some close quarter combat.
Yeah, the ceramic dagger one, I believe, is quite powerful. I don't have it. I don't think it's the Ack and Brunt projectiles aren't as powerful. The Ack and Brunt ones deal impact and heat, and then I think whatever elements you've got on your weapons as well.
It's the same with ceramic, impact and heat. But
but what kind of it hits really hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's also kind of buggy. Because and it doesn't scale with most mods, but it's multiplicative with condition overload, so it works like Eclipse. Condition overload functions like Eclipse on the weapon,
whereas maybe the Ack and Brunt does function like that. It doesn't seem to hit very hard, like even in a condition overload build when you've got a full combo. And
but this is only on direct hits, so I don't know if it has the same thing where it has a direct hit. And
it has a direct hit. It has a direct hit, but even then, you're talking like 4,000, 5,000 damage. That seems to be the most that I was getting out of it. With a full combo
ceramic did
with
like
red crits,
millions.
Yeah, it was quite good with Zephyr's tornadoes, but tornadoes are doing all the work with that, not so much.
And tornadoes tend to be buggy with some of the weapons, especially in Incarnate. Because
I had someone in the comment section saying that with Varuna and Stealth, and with Varuna's kind of passives and all that, or abilities, that the hammers that you throw are really fucking good. But I've not actually checked that out.
Amazing with some melee combos nowadays. Like you get that melee heavy attack efficiency, free priming.
Yeah.
so you can just be full on melee. It's really nice.
Well, considering the Yak and Brunt, when one of the passives basically you end up with 70% heavy attack efficiency, or if you put the focus energy on, you have 90% heavy attack efficiency, which means you don't lose next to any combo with heavy attacks. I kind of found that quite enjoyable. Like, it's quite powerful, but heavy attacks aren't for everyone. Heavy attacks,
they have that wind up. They can be quite slow.
But one of the other passives on the Yak and Brunt is for 70% heavy wind up speed. So your wind up is much faster as well. So you could build it for that. But again, it's going to be very niche towards a select amount of players, you know.
There's people who just prefer to do the most basic thing and just press a button. Something happens immediately. Like same with me and Az. We show like these setups if you want like your damage to do certain type of numbers, and they're like, bro, listen, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna press a button. If it works, it works.
Roll the face across the keyboard and see if something happens.
Which is understandable, but let's be honest, like if it's there, you know, why not use it? Yeah,
true. But that's what I kind of like is that. So years ago, I guess before channels like yours and Az's and what's the other one you named, Dystopia, was it? That basically do these like really min-max ones. There wasn't, even with the older guys, they used to do.
Those are the guy called Summit. Remember him?
No.
He used to be like an endurance runner. He did this Photoshop with a ribbon and he got banned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So before your channels kind of started showing off all of that stuff, there was never that kind of element to the Warframe content creation community that stood out. If there was channels that used to do the old Tier 4 survival runs or anything like that, there was never to that degree of, I guess, of a deep dive into the stats and what can be busted and what can't be busted. So that's why like Warframe's community has been incredibly casual for 10 years. So it's always nice to have, I guess, every element or every aspect of the game covered from different content creators, whether it's someone's covering the lore, someone's covering fashion.
Yeah, everybody's has their niche.
News,
that's the thing.
And everyone has their niche. So it's always nice to have those, you know.
Absolutely.
Kind of why I've just stuck to the whole news side of things and just that kind of thing.
I mean, there were some other news channels, but they completely like fell off because it's just you have to wait every week and sometimes nothing happens in Warframe, so it's just like, let me try something else in between.
In the last 2 years, I've gone from doing 3 videos a week to 3 videos a month.
Really?
Do you know what I mean?
Dang.
Yeah, but it's not because of the game. It's because of I've been looking after me. I've had the heart surgery twice, and I've had my left knee replaced from a football injury. You know.
Okay.
So for me, it's been step back and prioritize what I want, I guess, in my life more than anything. So
yeah, makes sense.
That's why I stream different games. And I don't just stick to Warframe now. It's because like I want to just have a bit of fun. I want to just cover other games that normally when I'd be doing nothing but Warframe, you miss out on so many games.
True.
You know, so like that's why I've kind of done them.
The downside right now, I like when you stream other games, I sometimes just lurk and chill. But then if you stream other games, do you get those people who come from Warframe and they're like, why aren't you streaming Warframe? Why aren't you doing this?
I've got a whiteboard behind me. And it says days since last incident. So when someone comes into my stream and goes, we want more Warframe, I have to wipe the number out and I have to set it to 0.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So because for the last 2 years, I've completely stepped away from streaming Warframe. I haven't stopped playing it. I've just stopped streaming it because after covering it for 6-7 years on Twitch and only doing that, and you get there's only so many questions you can answer that are the same question.
Oh yeah.
Or do you know what I mean? Like I'm sure you get as well. Where people
that's why I have my bots taking care of that. Most of the questions, like how do you do that? Bot is there, so I don't have to deal with it.
Do you know, like, and also Warframe on Twitch leans heavily into drops campaigns, and some channels lean heavily into giveaways. So when you start streaming it, you will get people in your chat that'll be like,
X-mission drops.
Yeah, are you giving stuff? What giveaway are you doing today? Like, dude, I don't do giveaways.
Exactly.
And if I do,
they're thirsty. Yeah, Twitch.
Yeah, Warframe on Twitch are quite. Give me free shit. Yeah. Just I want free shit. You know.
And usually that's like one of the things against my that's against the rules on my channel. If you beg for stuff, you'll get banned. I don't care, right?
Yeah, I had that as well, but it didn't start. Like it after my mods banning certain people because all I ever did was ask for free shit, you still get new people coming in. Because like I said, Warframe has a rotating door.
True.
People will come in, and then when other channels are doing giveaways, they think, okay, this is normal in the Warframe community.
Yeah,
everyone does giveaways.
Drops, or
So
I mean,
I kind of stepped away from streaming it because of that. And you know yourself, when you step away from Warframe, which is your comfort zone on Twitch, it's the game that you're predominantly known for. When you step away, you will see a 70 to 80% decline in views.
Absolutely. But sometimes I just want to just enjoy myself, you know?
And then you see the guys that are there week in, week out, regardless of what you're streaming. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
and you kind of start to build a community around that.
Those
that's
the
kind
homies,
of what I enjoy.
exactly.
Yeah, that's what I've been enjoying more than anything. I could just jump back and do Warframe, but I think it would fry my brain.
Yeah, I understand that. That's why I tend to like either play other games or do some just chatting.
Yeah, you do your Destiny and your Genshin and other games as well, and you do your just chatting as well as downtime in between, which is needed. But I didn't do that. I just did Warframe for like 5 years, 4 years, 5 years. So
yeah,
once I had the heart surgery, I went right. I need to change.
Oh, definitely. And what's even worse, like even if you play, there's like this hate between other games. Oh, like everybody has that. Like when I play a certain game, they're like, "Oh, you play this game? Like I'm gonna unfollow you." I'm like, "Who asked? Just don't watch. Like just go." You know?
I can't believe you're playing this game. Did you know that someone on the dev team 7 years ago said this?
Like, yeah, who gives a shit?
Going, thanks. Still playing it.
I'm still, exactly.
Yeah, so I play a lot of horror games.
Okay, yeah, so I did see that one you played the other time, yeah.
Yeah, because I find that you get a really good reaction out of your chat, but at the same time, they can be quite enjoyable to play yourself. And I never used to. I hated horror games. And then I did Alien Isolation, and it just completely changed my perspective of horror games.
The only horror game I played was on stream was Hellblade. Oh, and I loved it.
Dude, Hellblade is very mild horror, but Hellblade is more.
It's the ear thing,
emotional horror.
The whisper.
Yeah, it's emotional horror. You know, it's that whole psychosis. And stuff,
I hate that whispering thing, and that's why I can't stand ASMR. So whenever,
dude, you rap tap.
Oh, I mean the rap. That's hella mild compared.
Yeah, it's hella mild compared to Sinuous. Yeah.
They got that surround sound with the whisper. That was really annoying, but annoying in a good way, like freaky.
I played a game recently which is classified as a horror, but I genuinely have not laughed, like proper bellyache laughing, tears rolling down your face. And it was the Outlast Trials game.
Oh yeah, you were talking about it the last time.
I played it. Yeah, I played it with Clark with No Sympathy, just the two of us. And it was just fucking hilarious because anything that could go wrong did go wrong, and it was like moment after moment after moment where one guy showed up and started chasing you, and you finally got away from him, and next thing another guy walks out of the door and you start running back the other way, and then someone else shows up. And
is it like a survival horror or what?
It's basically a survival horror, but it's not against other players. So I originally thought it was going to be like Dead by Daylight, you know, where a person plays the monster that's chasing you, but it's not. It's a proper just AI.
Okay.
And there's others, like, because you're a patient in a psychiatric ward and you're dropped down into these different areas that you have to try and survive out of. So it's almost like the movie Saw, you know, where you have these tasks you have to do to try and escape and eventually get back out.
Are you actually crazy and hallucinating all of these things? Or?
You're a normal person, but there's enemies in it. There's one guy that chase. So every so often a door opens in the arena area or in the map. So like the map we were in was like a theme park.
I see.
You know, and next thing a door opens and a guy runs out and he's got like this
clown
gas
outfit.
mask.
Okay.
yeah, he's got a gas mask on and he's got like cylinders on his back and he's got a spraying device in his hand and he runs up to you and he grabs you and he sprays green mist in your face. And then you start fucking hallucinating.
Dang, okay.
And you're getting faced by this fucking guy that doesn't exist, but he keeps stabbing you. You know, so you have to take you have to inhale other kind of drugs to get rid of that. But then there's it's basically The Hills Have Eyes, if you know what that movie is.
Oh, I know of it, but I haven't seen
Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of mixed with
okay, yeah, I know that
the Saw movie where you have to do tasks, but there's like these freaks, these abominations that are hunting you down inside and you have to hide from them and while you're trying to get the tasks done. But you've got the Outlast camera view where
I don't know what that is.
It's night vision.
Oh, night vision. Okay.
Yes, you're like looking through a camera, but you've night vision, but you have to keep finding batteries to keep it powered up, or when you lose vision, it goes completely dark.
Oh,
But
that's
anyway,
freaky.
Outlast Trials right now. So it's a 3 or 4 player thing.
Okay.
But me and Clark played it on our own, and it was just fucking hilarious. It was just one of those games where it was supposed to be scary, and I guess it can be quite scary.
Sounds like good fun. That's
yeah. When are you going to play it?
Currently, I'm just farming like looter shooters. Like I'm replaying Borderlands 3, but modded.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
And of course Destiny 2 on the side, and well, looking forward for new games. I don't know if I'm gonna get Diablo. It's something that a lot of like some of the chat was like, you should play, you should download it.
Have you done any of the other ones?
I had played Diablo 2 long ago, like around 2009. Yeah. It was just
this one,
a LAN party thing, but
well, this one, like I said, is pretty much visuals of Diablo 3, but the open world aspect of Lost Ark.
All right, we'll see. Like, but that price, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely the price is one. There is a game that was shown off the other night called Helldivers 2, which looked really fucking good. That was another game that I was interested in. So let's see if that's going to be enjoyable.
Yeah, like again, as we were talking about earlier, just waiting for that one MMO that's gonna hook me in, because I need that, you know, because MMO fans are starved. Like whatever we see, we like try it out. Ooh, that's not good. We try this.
And there's been so many. There's been so many over the years.
So many that are bad at the same time. They just
and you jump into it with this hope that this is going to be incredible, and you jump in, and after about an hour of playing, you go, "This is."
They're missing that one thing, or like several things to make it work. Like, I ended up reinstalling Elder Scrolls Online and playing it again because I had that itch, you know. Because I watched a few Skyrim videos, and then I'm like, okay, I want to try this out now.
I completely ruined my experience with that game. We jumped into it
a
while back, and there was a new update coming out, and we thought, you know what, we wanted to get to the raids, so we basically just done the dolmen farming.
Oh, I know that. Okay.
Power level ourselves, you basically ignore all the story, and you just run from one dolmen to another, and you gain mad levels. And we did like 2 days of streaming it, me, Clark, Shanksy, and I think Frozen, and we just did it that way, and it was so boring and so dull that when we finally got to the raids, we did the raids twice and then went and uninstalled it.
Damn.
It was like it completely just ruined the experience of doing it that way.
Yeah, the great thing about ESO, right? You can just the world is huge, different story, lore, but the problem is, just like every MMO, it's like you need people. If you play by yourself, it's really dull, it's boring. Yeah,
I'd love a Warhammer one. A Warhammer MMO, like I mean a proper Warhammer 40k.
Oh, I don't know anything about Warhammer, so
yeah, neither did I until my knee surgery, and I was asking my community. You know, I was like, I'm going to be off my head on painkillers and drugs up in the hospital, so I'm not reading anything.
Yeah.
So give me a good audiobook that I can listen to.
Okay.
And they basically said the Horus Heresy. Just listen to that, and I was like, yeah, but that's Warhammer. I'm not really interested in anything like that. I'm interested in grim dark. I'm interested in stuff where the good guy is the bad guy. The good guy goes around killing people, you know, that type of thing.
Oh yeah.
And they went, that's literally 40k. 40k is grim dark. It's as grim dark as it gets. And I went, is it? And then they went, yeah, it is. So I listened to the first audiobook and I got completely sucked in. And now it's like, it's all war. It's just all fucking super soldiers with huge guns fighting against each other.
I mean, that's all I know. Yeah. That's all I know about it, and because all the memes and the random animations I see. But
so if I could get an MMO like that, I think it could be enjoyable. Like the last enjoyable MMO I played outside of World of Warcraft was probably the Star Wars one when it first came out.
Really?
Yeah, when it first came out years ago, before it went free to play.
For me, it was when I saw the cinematics and they blew me away. I'm like, that looks cool, but when you look at the actual gameplay, I'm like,
the gameplay was very reminiscent of it. Heavily reminded me of Warcraft, so that's probably why I enjoyed it, because I was still playing Warcraft at the time.
It didn't look as cool.
No, it didn't. No. But the raids weren't great either. We done a few of the raids, and they weren't great either. So they weren't.
That's unfortunate. Dang.
But I don't know. In the last 2 years, I've been dipping my toe into every fucking game possible in every different genre to try and find, just to see if you're missing out.
True, yeah, I get you.
You know, like when you get stuck into one genre.
I tend to get a bit picky. I have genres that I like, but it's just like when I see something that's really different, like really different from what I would play,
you instantly think you're gonna dislike it.
Yeah, because I don't like anything where you don't see your character, or you don't have a sense of where your character is.
Investment into that character and stuff. Yeah. I get that as well, but I guess in the last 2 years I've just decided, you know what, I think so. There was a lot of times when I was streaming Warframe where people would be like, "Oh my god, this game's after coming out. Have you played it yet?" Or, you know, like the Witcher games. Have you played the Witcher games? And I was like, no. They're like, "You've never played Witcher?" And I'm like, no. Every time I went to play a new game, when it gets released, Warframe always has an update.
Yeah, true.
So over the last few years, when a game releases, you're thinking, "Oh, I can't wait to jump into that game." And next thing, Warframe announces an update 2 weeks before for the same date that game comes out, and you go, right, well, I have to cover Warframe as well.
Being a content creator on top of that.
Yeah, which means you miss out on that game. But in the last 2 years, I've been I'm going to go back and revisit some of these games while also dipping my toe into games that I've never played before and that I would never even look at because they're not
Witcher
my kind
is
of game.
good. I played a little bit of it. I took a break.
I took a break and I've not gone back to it.
But Cyberpunk, I enjoyed Cyberpunk a lot more than The Witcher.
I played Cyberpunk and I really enjoyed it as well. And then there's other games, Ghost of Tsushima, which I played, which was phenomenal from start to finish. And that was the first game.
Is that a Souls game? Or what?
Not really. It's more, it's not as difficult as a Souls game. It's nowhere near it.
I see.
It's probably closer to Witcher than it would be anything else. Like, there's a few fights in it that are really enjoyable and can be, if you've got on hard difficulty, can be quite tough the first time around. But it's more Witcher hack and slash type of thing. Actually, it's more like, have you played any of the Batman games?
Yes.
So it's more like that. Like you're basically chaining attacks and parries and things like that.
Okay,
so it's more along the lines of that. It's the first game I've 100%ed in years. I was like, I have to 100% this game, you know?
Isn't it like PlayStation only?
Yeah, but there's rumors, I think I seen them yesterday, the day before, of it coming to PC. To be announced soon. But then again, it's Bloodborne's been coming to PC for 5 years now, so.
Oh yeah, not a fan of Souls games, so.
Neither am I, but I've played Elden Ring and completed it, and I've New Game Plused it, and then I've played a bit of Sekiro up to the Apes, and
I
then
don't
I never kind of went back.
That.
Yeah, well, Sekiro is totally different to a Souls-like game because the mechanics are completely different. I done Dark Souls 3, but I done it with a friend that was really good at Dark Souls, so he carried my ass through the whole thing.
Oh, dude, the Dark Souls community, they're I think like second to Warframe, they're the biggest backseaters ever.
I've streamed it once. I streamed a bit of Demon Souls, and I went, you know what? When I first came out on PlayStation 5, and I got the PlayStation 5, I went, you know what? I'm going to try Demon Souls because I had completed a few of the other Souls games at that point, and I streamed it for an hour, and then I just stopped streaming it. I was like, right. If this is the way it's going to be, because even some of my regulars were like, why aren't you just doing this? Why you just go across the bridge? And I'm like, dude, shut the fuck up. I've never played this before.
Cook. Yeah,
I've never played it before. I know it's an old game and this is a remake, but I've never played the original. Let me just try and play it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but what you need to be doing is, dude.
Oh, I hate that. I like that's the biggest thing I hate in video games, backseating. Oh my god.
Well, you'll get it from those, but I didn't stream Elden Ring. I basically just played it off stream. And I enjoyed it that way, you know, because it was more enjoyable. I've made my oldest son play it though.
Okay.
So basically, my oldest son was playing nothing but Rocket League and Fortnite.
Oh,
and
no.
He basically says to me, he wanted a new game, and I says, "You've got enough games." And he goes, "Yeah, but I want to get this one that's coming out." And I was like, "I'll tell you what." I says, I'll get that game for you, right, when you 100% Bloodborne."
Damn.
And he goes, "What's Bloodborne?" And I go, "Well, you're going to have to go and look." And I says, "I'll buy Bloodborne for you, right? But if you want me to buy you a new game, you get the 100% Bloodborne."
Giga Chad. I like that.
And he installed Bloodborne, and he's completed it 5 times. He's now completed Elden Ring multiple times. He's done Sekiro. He's 100% at Sekiro. He's 100% at every Soulsborne game there is. So he's shifted now from being someone who played Call of Duty and Fortnite and them, and now all he does is Souls games, you know, so.
Wow. Look at that.
That's what, you know. So now my youngest son is like, "Dad, I want you to get me a new game, like complete Elden Ring."
You're looking at him.
Making him do fucking challenges, dude.
Yeah, you're ready for this.
Yeah, it's the only way to do it.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't 100% it myself, you know. But they've got the reactions of a kid, you know, so they're better.
True. Yeah. Right now, like as you get older, you're gonna realize just that pinpoint accuracy is not there anymore.
It's not what it used to be. Yeah, without a doubt.
But I feel like, playing video games helps you out a bit more when it comes to reaction.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But back in the days, playing video games is for the devil.
Oh, stop. Even like so for
mind control your kids.
For the first few years of doing YouTube content, my dad would be like, "You need to get a real fucking job. Be a real boy." That type of thing.
Yeah.
Because he didn't understand how it worked. So basically, my dad's drove diggers on building sites for like 40 years. You know what I mean? And I had been on building sites for 10 years before doing this, and then 10 years prior to that, I was a welder. So to go from those things to this was quite a shift.
Yeah.
And it took him a few years to realize just what it was I was doing and how many hours you put into it. Yeah, like you put crazy hours into it, you know what I mean? Because you've obviously, looking at your videos, you take pride in your editing, right?
Yes.
There's no just sitting in front of the fucking camera and just waffling for 20 minutes.
I mean, I've done that with some discussion topics where it's just
but it's different doing a discussion and doing an actual, like a build video where you're going into the finer points of what works and what doesn't work. You'll always edit that so as right well. And you also put the timestamps so right, if someone wants this, they know exactly where it is. You're not wasting anyone's time, right? Because the viewer's time is their thing, so if you're wasting the time, they'll stop watching.
You say that. But there is a massive group of people who don't even use the timestamps.
Yeah, because they'll be like, wait, where's this in the video? And you're like, dude, there's a timestamp right there.
Exactly. Thank you. God.
Like, I'll take my video from last night as an example for the Deadstream recap video. First few minutes of the video, I go, this is Wisp Prime, and this is the Fullman Prime. And one of the first comments I got, oh, so they're not doing the Fullman Prime?
My man.
Like,
what are you doing?
Less than 30 seconds into the video, and I mentioned Fullman Prime.
They just skip.
But what I mean is, you obviously put time into your videos. So does some of the other content creators. You don't just sit in front of the video going, "This is the news. This is a tweet that's happening. This is the build that I want to show you, and I'm just going to talk about it, and I'm going to repeat the same thing several times over, and the video is going to be 20 to 25 minutes long,
unscripted, and yeah."
Yeah, which doesn't work for a lot of people. It doesn't work for a lot of viewers. They'll see that and they'll go, right, I'm bored, and they'll switch off.
True.
Whereas right well that if you're actually putting time into the editing, it's taking you longer. Which means your videos aren't going to be out first, and they're not going to be there with the rat race and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So when you try to explain that to someone who doesn't understand the whole content creation scene, look, I sit in front of a PC for so many hours a day, and I edit videos for this long during the day, and that. And when they don't understand it, I guess it's quite.
Oh yeah, and your sleep schedule is fucked on top of that.
Oh, you stop, dude.
Oh, you know what I've been like this past several weeks with the Incarnate things. I actually go to bed on Sunday at 8 or 7 p.m. to wake up at 12:40 a.m.
to do the grind.
Yeah, to get ready for the reset and all that, and stream at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
I don't think I could. I get up at like 6 in the morning, which my kids go to school just after that anyway, so I'm up at that time anyway. And I get up then, and then I jump out and I just solo the whole fucking thing. I solo the whole fucking thing,
that
dude.
Sucks.
And I get the first one, and I'll get the first weapon, and then I'll check it out. I won't meticulously test it as much as what you guys would with all the different mechanics and all the different frames or abilities. I'll find something that I really like, and I'll go, okay, this is why I like this weapon.
Yeah, simple.
And then I'll make the video. But by this stage, there's already multiple videos of the stuff up. Do you know what I mean?
So, there's some who just don't even pick the upgrades. They just show the Incarnate. Oh, look, this is Incarnate. That's it.
Yeah, this is it in action. Yeah. But I don't think I could get up that early, because I think then I'd be fucked for the week. In terms of my trying to get my sleep schedule back.
That whole rotation from Sunday to Monday is just it's fucked. So then I crash hard from like as soon as I go to bed. Like I try to like stay up a bit later. So then when I crash at night, I have a good night's sleep till Tuesday, where I'm just energized.
Well, that's the right way to do it, I guess. So at least you're catching up on your recuperation.
Oh yeah,
in some way.
Yeah, sleep is a big thing because
it's huge.
I had this anxiety problem where I couldn't sleep, and I went 3 days without sleep, and I was scared.
Did you get jittery and everything? Like it's fucking
like of like every little thing messed me up. Like I would feel like I can't breathe. I have to wake up.
And you start fucking having panic attacks. Yeah.
Yeah. So I went to the hospital, and they were like, "Yo, take this pill."
Passed out for a while.
And it was the best sleep I've had
in
ages. I clocked out, woke up with drool. I'm like, yo.
How long is the longest you've streamed for? Like, have you ever gone
24 hours? No, I haven't. Longest, I think 18 hours longest.
I think the longest for me is 11.
I mean,
and it was probably during Plains of Eidolon, but at the time I had like 39,000 people in my chat. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you gotta milk that.
So I was like, I'm staying here for the long haul, and I still only did 11 hours. And at the end of the 11 hours, my eyes were burning and the whole lot. And I was like, right, I need to fucking. It was like 2 a.m, and I had been going from whatever time that day, and I went, right, I need to just go.
The grind is important, though.
Yeah.
You got to take advantage of that. But that's the life of a content creator at this point. Like it's a race, it's a competition.
It always was. Yeah. It always was. I think just that now with the incarnate weapons, you're getting to see that snapshot of what it was, and with previous updates when they first came out.
Yeah,
but then there was so many weapons.
But then there's you'll see like people who actually spend their time looking at details. People who just like, yo, here's the builds, move on. Then there's people like you who's like, this is what I use. This is the build I use. It works. It kills. That's all that matters. Have fun. Peace. And then there's the other people who like take the extra time, go through shit. Like if you didn't know, the there's so many little bugs with the incarnates, especially with the base damage buffs that you get from the perks.
Yeah.
They're not affected if you use the galvanized aptitude or the galvanized, the condition overload mods. Yeah, they only affect the base value, not the added value from the perks. So the scaling is like slightly reduced, and some of them are multiplicative with base damage, so they function like Eclipse. So there's all these little different bugs that go
Warframe,
into
which is weird. Warframe doesn't really have many bugs.
Oh yeah, it's just features. People are just imagining things.
Like Warframe used to have bi-weekly weapons.
Really?
So before they started doing the major updates, like the Plains of Eidolon, Fortuna and all that, they would have the bi-weekly updates, which was basically every 2 weeks you'd have a new weapon.
Oh wow!
Maybe 2 weapons. Maybe a melee and a gun, or maybe some new mods would come with it. And so that was the rat race back when I first started covering it. So basically, like, there was People's Choice Gaming was a YouTube channel, Magamu. There was a few other ones that were much larger than me as well. And it was basically when they were released, it was a rat race to see who got that video out first of the new weapon, showcasing them. I remember when the Soma and ones like that were added, it was a huge thing, or the Bolto Prime, and so like it was like every 2 weeks, and then they shifted away from it.
Yeah, I heard
because it was too
primes
hard.
Were like, I found out the other day, like the first prime was that was given away was Frost, like the blueprint or something.
Yeah.
And the grind was way different, way harder, took longer.
Well, you had the T4. You had to do the T4 stuff.
Yeah.
It wasn't what you have now with the Fishers. It was basically just jump into whichever void tower that you had to do for whichever piece it was dropping in.
And see what you get. Yeah.
It was boring. To be honest with you. I think the best bit about it was when you were doing a defense mission was turning the lasers on and see which one of your teammates you could kill.
So you said it was boring, while the other people were like, it was the best system ever.
No, I think there's large elements to every game about old systems where there's like rose-tinted glasses, where you think, you know what, this system was incredible.
Or it could be just nostalgia. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nostalgia. That's what I mean. So, like, it's basically you're ignoring what was bad about the system at the time and what people really didn't like, and you're just latching on to the one thing that you really enjoyed about it.
Yeah.
So when you look at like raids,
oh, it was buggy as hell.
Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess. And every time they updated something else, like you said, it fucking broke, and they'd have to spend time fixing it. And like the first raid, not the the one where you fought Vehek, like that was just standing on buttons. Large parts of that was just standing on a button and trying not to get knocked off.
Yep.
Like there was nothing extensive about it mechanic wise.
Just throw a bunch of crowd control, Vauban's, Bastille.
Don't let that scorpion fucking harpoon you off. It was basically that. So if to go back to raids, like to be fair, the Worm fight right now on Steel Path is probably one of the better fights.
Oh yeah, definitely.
They've added. So if they can add more like that, whatever the next spider fight, unfortunately, because we know it's coming because they hinted that there's an armor drone over it, so we know something's going to happen with it.
Oh, they've been saying that for ages. Still waiting on it. Still
waiting. It'll be like another 10 years from now, and you'll still be going, yeah, but that orb mother's going to come out at some point.
Exactly. Same thing. Were they even going to release anything in Deimos with the worms?
They had mentioned something about a possible fight, but then I think they're just now there to signify the different shift and cycle, aren't they?
Yeah. Phos, Vom, all that.
Yeah. So it's just like day and night cycle type of thing.
I would love if, the thing is, I love large scale fights, raid mechanic type of environments. I would love if there was something like that in Warframe. Like Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying the only thing right now that's similar to that, but it's being automated, it's Eidolons.
Yeah, well, this is why I was enjoying that Diablo. The open world boss that spawned in at level 25, this huge dragon, had like 3 different stages.
Yeah.
And with each stage, the elemental attacks would change and the mechanics of the fight would change, and you'd have to move to different areas.
You're really trying to sell it to me now, huh?
No, I'm not. I'm genuinely not trying to sell it. But one of the so phase 1 was it just swiping at you and doing 3 lunge swipes. But because it's so big, you had to make sure you were under its hind legs nearly at all times.
I see.
And phase 2, it starts dropping all of these toxic pools on the ground, which deal a fuckload of damage, while then evolving, and it does a forward swipe. But then it does a back swipe with its claws. So if you're standing behind it under its hind legs, it'll one-shot you. So like you were constantly moving around trying to like read the movement of the dragon.
I mean, is there like like these? Are there, what are those things? The hit markers where it shows you that's the danger zone. If you step on that, you will take damage.
No, you just see the pools on the ground and don't fucking stand in that.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like if you've seen a big large green pool of bubbling toxic on the ground, you go, right, don't fucking stand in that,
exactly.
And then it would breathe fire at the front and it would do swipes with its claws from behind. So it was like, I think it was like 12 people or 8 people fighting it at any given time. And you had 12 minutes or something like that to kill it.
Okay.
And it was a race. It was basically a DPS race to burn it down as fast as you could.
Was there anything like a front or back attack? Lost Ark.
Yeah. There was a cleave. There was a cleave at the front. And then
I meant like with classes, like do they get like bonus damage?
Did they get like a bonus from like assassination, like backstabbing?
Yeah, exactly.
Not that I know of, but I didn't actually. To be fair, I didn't look up because it was only the beta, so I didn't look up if there is a weak point. I know when you go to raiding in World of Warcraft, and a lot of bosses would have like moments where you knew you could burst DPS in this moment because that was the best time to do it.
Exactly.
Like that. But I'm not sure about the dragon. But like, they've basically tweeted out some of the bosses that are going to be open world bosses, and there was like, I think they tweet out 3 of them, and they look fucking incredible to do. So I'm looking forward to that. If I can get into it and I can build a guild or a clan from my community, and we can start doing some of the world bosses.
Seems interesting. All right, I might have a look at it. Okay,
See, next in 6 days' time, I'll be seeing you streaming fucking Diablo.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Because a lot of friends were saying, "Oh, I'm going to get into it." Especially some other Warframe streamers, they were really excited for it. So
yeah, well, I know Clark is jumping into it and Frozen's jumping into it. So I was always going to jump into it because I really enjoyed Diablo 3. So
I'll watch some guides and videos. See, I think it's launching June
the 4th if you've pre-ordered, the 6th if you haven't, or 7th if you haven't. So.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you get a head start pre-ordering.
Yeah.
Pay to win.
Massive drops campaign running with it as well. So there is.
Okay, that sounds okay. It's cool. I'll have a look at it. Anyway, we've been at this for 2 hours.
Damn, Jesus, right?
It was really good to get to hear your side of things, the history, experiences.
It was nice to hang out. It was nice to chat, dude.
Yeah, glad to have you.
Thank you for the invite.
No worries. Thank you for being here. It was quite an eye-opener to know that Tactical Potato was one of the bad boys.
I wouldn't say that. I would say I was misguided. I was an idiot, more or less, I think.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Understandable. Yeah, we all go through it. That was a good talk. Learned about some games, and definitely have a look at Diablo. See if that's.
I would say have a look at Deep Rock Galactic, dude.
Deep Rock Galactic. I mean,
I would say have a proper look at Deep Rock Galactic. Like ignore the visuals and just have a look at the end game. Have a look at those deep dives and the absolute fucking mayhem that you can have in a squad of 4 and how hectic it can be. And not to mention the min-maxing of the cores that you put on the weapons to change how they perform. Plus the community is fucking huge.
Yeah. There's a lot of games like that. So, but the thing is, my friends were playing it when Destiny was had that downtime period. Now they're not playing it, so I don't know.
Destiny's back up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's always still just worth looking at for when there is a down period in Destiny at the minute. It's like €30, I think.
Okay.
Is what it is in the store, and then it's like everything after that is free.
There's probably a sale here and there we can get.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Wait for it and grab it on sale.
Thanks for hanging out. Yeah.
Likewise, enjoy your weekend.
All right, you too. Have a good one. What do you usually say? That's
Thanks.
The Irish thing.
Which one?
I don't know. I don't remember.
The ones that normally say is basically would be Céad Míle Fáilte, which was the one that was, but that's kind of a greeting more than anything else. Okay. Was the greeting as well.
So would you say if you're like, heading out, like saying your goodbyes? Slán. Say it again.
Slán, S-L-A-N.
Slán.
Slán, yeah, it just means goodbye.
All right. Well, slán to the peeps.
Take it easy, dude.
All right, have a good one, man.